All right, everyone, it's 3:17. Let's go ahead and call this meeting to order. If we can all stand up for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, go ahead and take a seat. And just as a reminder, if anybody would like to speak on any other agenda topics or non-topics, we got to fill out we got all of them?
I have, yes, I have.
Madam Chair.
If you guys can all silence your phone, we'll appreciate it, or turn it off. All right, so first item, we'll go ahead and have roll call. In attendance, we have Bob, Doug, Kara, and myself, and then I believe we have Ed
Ed was
online.
rejoined, yes.
Make a
So,
motion that due to extenuating circumstances, they'd be allowed to participate.
second. So we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Ed, can you hear us?
Thank you all.
Thank you. All right, so I need a motion for the approval of the final agenda.
Got one question, Madam Chairman. I'd like to pull ahead item 11E, since we have some people here that would like to speak to that item in particular. Can we do that
Would you like it before or after?
before 11A?
Okay, so just 11E, okay.
That's all I have.
Is there a second for that?
And we're pulling it up to what set?
11, before A.
Before A, okay.
I'm back to yes and also.
Anything else?
Yeah, I'll say. Need your motion?
We have a motion.
And one more question, there was a letter that was sent to you, Madam Chair, from Faith Formosa, and I was told that we are going to discuss that under district attorney items, number 13, is that correct?
That would be a question for Tony.
Yes, ma'am, that is correct.
Okay.
Thank
So
you.
we should hold everything on that to your,
I think that'd be appropriate.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second to move item 11E ahead of 11A. All in favor, say aye.
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 So, public comment.
All right, Tom Shaner?
And just as a reminder, we have 2 minutes. And then if the board can remain from questioning, then we can discuss this among ourselves after.
It's regarding the assessment methodology and district attorney items.
Madam Chairman, real quick, I don't need it all, but I'm asking, do I get 3 on each or just 3 total?
3 total.
Thank you. All right, first of all, I just want to say on the methodology, through our consultation with an independent assessment methodology consultant, we will be sending you a formal objection to where you are with the methodology at this time. Specifically, we will be objecting to the use of the baseline methodology for the roadways and landscape, 1. 2, that the Pelican Preserve landowners are receiving an assessment for parks and recreation. And 3, on the capital outlays included in the administrative portion of the proposed methodology. We will be objecting. I will like to stress in saying that we do not wish to pursue legal remedies against the district, but rather sit down and discuss alternative methodologies based on prior findings of the district and consider PPCA's perpetual ownership and operation of certain categories. Now, that's what I wanted to say on the methodology. As to the item under Tony, that letter that was sent, I want to stress that that is merely a letter requesting a discussion on those items of transferring ownership of the gatehouse, the roads, and landscaping to Pelican Preserve. It is not a request to do so at this time. It is simply a request to have a discussion on the merits of doing that and whether it is feasible. We would like your support on that. Other than that, I have no other comments, Madam Chairman.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, sorry, Ed Hedges, same agenda item, assessment methodology.
Ed Hedges, 10532 Azura. I've got maps here. I've got 4 points on the assessment methodology, or more or less the memo. Regarding tree line and the landscaping, just want to point out that, this map shows the right-of-way. The vast majority of what is maintained, landscaping that's maintained on tree line is in the county with right-of-way or the CDD property up at the Colonial. There is a small strip of, the blue parcel is community association property. There is a small piece of that strip up to the fence that is maintained by the PPAC landscaping. So it's really, it's not at 1/3 of the landscaping, it's probably more like 10% or so. The other thing that you should keep in mind is that to date, the community association provides all of the water for landscaping, CBD landscaping within the city of Fort Myers area at no cost to the PPAC. So the other thing is in Appendix A, I was trying to sort out, figure out where the numbers came from, and they really didn't make a lot of sense to me. The 940,000 for labor seems to include, you know, a lot of things other than just the administration, but a lot of the actual labor of the staff under Parks and Recreation, landscaping, and water management, your environmental people and stuff. I feel strongly, you know, to have those allocated on a one-to-one basis seems to go against, especially like the Parks and Rec, where for the non-labor, Pelican would get assessed and the others would get assessed the 0.15. Seems like the labor associated with those should go the same way. Same with water management and the landscaping, those should be in those silos. A lot of the non-labor listings, those are 25% of what's in the 25 budget. So 50% gets allocated to enterprise. Where did the other 25% go? And that amendment had the sheriffs on there allocating across. They only apply to Gateway properties within Gateway. Pelican pays for the city of Fort Myers to do patrols. So why is the sheriff's being allocated to Pelican and not the city of Fort Myers cost to patrol Pelican? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next, I have Sherry Schiller regarding public comment, no audio, or audio.
Hello, I'm Sherry Schiller. I'm a neighbor of everyone here. I live in Pelican Preserve. And my concern is, I'm very interested in these meetings, and I have been trying to listen on the different areas available. Recently, I have not been able to hear the meetings, so I had to come on over. And I would prefer to sit at home with my iPads or pods on, and that's much more convenient for me. And I'd like to know, is there a way that the audio can be checked before the meeting to make sure people are receiving it in the community, both Gateway and for Pelican? And so that's my concern, and just wanted to share.
Is that through YouTube you're going to?
I go through YouTube, I click on anything that's available. I'll go, whatever, if you told me YouTube is not working because it's at the top of the page, you need to do this, I would do that. I'm able to do that. And I have, you know, a Mac, but I don't know that that's relative to it.
I'm sorry, what was your name again?
Sherry Schiller, 46 resident of Florida, has lived all over the state, just for.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sylvia, DeFolca?
Yeah.
Regarding electric bikes on sidewalk and speed bumps from entrance at sports facility to dog park.
Good afternoon. My name is Sylvia DeFolco. I was to just talk about the electric bikes on the sidewalk. Recently, I've had the electric bikes are supposed to be going around 25 miles an hour. That's the speed limit on the electric bikes, or so I've heard. The electric bikes are on the sidewalk and are running at 25 miles an hour. They are keeping up with the speed of the cars on the road. When they approach from behind, nobody can see them. They are passing me and my dog and other residents at 25 miles an hour, and they're not slowing down. So I've had 2 incidences where I've been nearly run over when I'm walking my dog. There has been an incident on Griffin Drive where somebody was injured, I believe, last week. And last week I had a confrontation with one man when he came behind me, and he said he got off his bike and he came up to me and he told me, "Get out of my way. You are in my way when I'm riding my bike." And I thought he was going to attack me. So I am very, very hesitant about these bikes on the road. I think they're very dangerous on the sidewalks, not on the road. And I think they need to be stopped. And I think a resolution or a solution to this would be to have a sign on the roads, just like they do by JetBlue, where it says no electric bikes allowed. These electric bikes are very dangerous for people. Some people are very hard of hearing, so even if they beep, people don't hear it with the amount of traffic. So I think something has to be done about that. These bikes are just going too fast, or there has to be a speed limit, a really, like with regular bikes. Because I've nearly been hurt twice. My dog's nearly been hurt, and I know there was an incident last week. The other thing I'd like to mention is I believe there should be speed bumps from the entrance of the park all the way down to the dog park, because some of these cars are running down at 30, 40, 50 miles an hour when they don't see people, and if there are no sports facilities going on in sports. So I think speed bumps need to be put in there as well. Just a suggestion. So from the entrance, yeah. So, and those were my comments for today. Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you. Kurt Shaw, regarding pond easement.
Just to reinforce what I'm Kurt Shaw, what she just said, after one of the soccer games a couple of weeks ago, there were a couple of cars doing donuts out here in the driveway as they were leaving, so I did witness that. My question is about the pond easement. I moved here 1st of November, got the letter in December that trees are going to be removed for the easement for the reclamation or whatever on the ponds. And my trees, it was kind of vague where they were going to take them out. I have 9 trees across the back of the property, and but it was within what the map showed me. And then once they did the survey line, the easement line ran down through this line of trees. And I've had people out to look at it, and they told me, well, they were going to clear cut or take them all out if I didn't do the paperwork and all that. So I did that. And they came out and marked the trees for removal, and the only trees that they're not removing are on the easement line or outside the easement. So I just feel like I could have been told that before I did all the paperwork, paid my $500, and then they're still taking out all but 4 of the trees, of these 9 trees. And nothing changed from that line that was surveyed. And so that was known ahead of time.
Kurt, your agenda item is on for today, correct?
Oh, yeah. That's it. That's all I have.
Thank you.
All right, next we have Doug Zanter regarding the lake maintenance easement and pond restoration.
No, I was confused.
No, it's a new
No, it's
easement
second
and
one.
coming in front, new request coming in front of you.
That's why I was like, why not? Yeah,
Ready?
no.
Yes.
Similar, but no.
My name is Doug Zanner, and I'm representing myself in Pelican Preserve, not the Ponds Group. We haven't been able to meet since the easement, lake management easement came up. We're going to meet on the 11th of February, but I just wanted to come forward. We started with the ITQ process on the restoration of ponds 47 and 48 without the clear cut. We made our the vendors bid on that with quotes. The Ponds Group made the recommendations to PPAC, who made the recommendations to the board the last meeting, and that was approved. And then my take after that, I don't know exactly if you approved it, and then after that, but the lake management 20-foot easement came into play. I would like, when you look at it, our worst pond is 10 inches. As if Ed was here, he said last time our best is your worst, or whatever, the reverse of that, I should say. I just want to know, we did pond 36, had 10-inch erosion, it's our worst pond, and that pond did not need anything up to the 10-foot is all it needed, lake management easement, that's all it needed. And if we had done the 20-foot, that would have been 26 homes, an additional cost of probably 50 to 75,000 to clear cut that to the 20-foot. I would like you to reconsider the 20-foot, and my take would be to use the contractor's knowledge. They're the ones that know what they need the most. I have no problem if the contractor says they need, let's just say 12 feet or 15 feet, doing a clear cut. But for us to make an arbitrary decision when the people that know it the best are the contractors that are doing the work. So I'd like you to consider that. Last thing, we're put in place, the ponds group was put in place, I view it to protect, to make sure the non-ad valorem money is spent wisely. And the other thing is we're put in place to protect homeowners' value of their property. And I think with this LME 20-foot, our group violates both of those principles that we were put in place to do. Thank you.
Next, we have Jim Latham regarding the lake maintenance easement proposals and admin agenda item E.
Okay, good afternoon, Jim Latham. I live in Pelican Preserve. As a member of the Pelican Preserve Ponds Group, I would like to discuss the 20-foot LME that is currently a matter of concern for both residents of Pelican Preserve and Gateway. I understand that and agree with the need to maintain up to a 20-foot easement to allow for pond maintenance, but question the current practice of clear-cutting all landscaping within this easement when the full 20-foot is not needed for the work being scheduled. This unnecessary removal not only creates an adversarial relationship with their homeowners, it also negatively affects the homeowner's property value, increases the likelihood of rear yard washouts, and affects the overall community aesthetics that we all try to encourage. Most of the landscape in question was installed by the builder to make their properties more desirable. And to now go back and demand that the rear yard landscaping be removed should not be taken so lightly. In some cases, homeowners have spent a considerable amount of money to enhance their landscaping without being aware of the potential consequences. To demand landscape removal when it is not necessary to complete the work is a terrible disservice to the communities that you serve. I would like to propose that Gateway modify the way they enforce the LME to limit landscape removal to only what is needed to complete the contracted work safely. If the scope of work requires the full 20-foot, then removal of any interfering landscape is warranted. My second proposal only addresses the previously board-approved bank restoration work on ponds 47 and 48. This work was planned based on our current budget allowances and before we were aware of the political, financial, and time impact of your current interpretation of the LME. To properly implement this new process will involve contacting each impacted homeowner, explaining the LME issue as well as their right to submit an easement appeal. The homeowner also has the right to relocate any offending landscape. This unanticipated and time-consuming process will prevent the current bank restoration work from moving forward this year. I ask that the board grant a waiver on the 20-foot clear cut to allow our current two projects to proceed as originally planned. We have already determined that the existing landscaping will not impede the contractors from safely completing their work. Our attention moving forward will be then to work with Gateway to identify the final LME process, included in our Pelican Preserve Ponds Group PPAC planning for our future pond bank restoration recommendations. At that time, we'll have the necessary information that we need to make an informed decision. That's it. Thank you.
What was your name again? Sorry.
Jim Latham.
Thank you.
Jim, I have just one question for you. Is this the last one, Chelsea?
Yes.
Okay. With respect to this year, 47 and 48,
Yes.
what, I'm repeating back what I think I heard, I want to make sure I got it.
Yeah.
We're, the pot, you're speaking now for Ponds Work Group, this is their kind of.
Me as an individual, we have our meeting next week,
Okay,
so
but you're the lead man on it.
I'm with the lead man on the bank restoration project.
So what I think you're asking the board is that for this year, since we've got two contracts that we've approved, let's move forward without regard to the 20-foot LME, but it'll be under consideration for all future. That's
Yeah.
one thing. You get a little moratorium or whatever, a compromise. And then secondly, the other part of the thrust is, if the ponds group, along with the engineer, determines that a future pond doesn't require the full 20-foot, that your group would like to make a recommendation for us to approve, understanding that. So you don't have to take out the whole 20-foot, and we still get the work done, and in no way it impacts with our right to make the 20-foot.
We'll always need the ability to
We'll
use
always
the
have
20-foot if
that.
it's
Okay.
needed. So far, the ponds that we did do, we haven't needed anywhere near that.
I just want to make sure I got it, and
You know.
hopefully that would clear it for the board members.
But we do have plans to bring it to the homeowners, just so they're aware of this potential easement infringement if they're going to be doing any other future landscape work in the back. So,
And the other thing they're doing, just as
Thank
an
you, Jeff.
aside, is
You're
it's
welcome.
going before our control committee, no, the architectural.
ACC.
control- The ACC, the Architectural Control Committee, if they now understand what our requirements are. Because this is what happened in Nolan Tiberio with the pool. He went to the ACC, they said, no problem. They didn't realize
Okay.
that was a 20-foot element, so.
All
Okay,
right, so
thank
no
you.
more other comments?
No, I have none sent out.
okay.
Thank
So
you.
we'll go ahead and move to local achievements and recognitions. Do you
Yep.
have anything?
I do. Good news and bad news. Good news for her, bad news for us. Elle did submit her date of retirement, which will be the end of July. So we plan on sending her off with a huge party because she's contributed so much to Gateway over the years. I'm tearing up thinking about it. So we just want to put that out there and congratulate her and thank her for her many, many years of service.
Don't have a date yet.
It's 7/31 is her last day. I don't have a date for the party, but I'll let you know.
How many years service will she end up having?
Close to 20. All right, that's all. I have.
All right. Any advisory committee items?
No, none submitted.
Okay. So we'll go ahead and move to the consent agenda items.
You got approval
Approval of
minutes.
minutes. I move to approve agenda item 8A, B, and C.
Second.
We have consent agenda items, A, B,
Minutes.
Minutes, okay.
The minutes.
My glasses.
We
We have a
It's so long
motion,
since
I
you've been here, you
know.
forget.
Motion and a second, all in favor, say aye.
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 Move on consent agenda items A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, and I.
If you want to put it in the dryer, low to medium, if not. I would say dry it.
He's waiting for that.
Make it last long. Don't hang.
Not actually.
Yeah, I'll just put like on the back.
F, G, and H. In other words, all of them.
All of it, okay. Oh, okay.
I second.
All in favor, say
I was kind of
aye.
checking mine out, Jenny, out for that too. at the same
I was
time.
going one by one, I was like, which one did I miss?
Aye.
All right. District engineer. Nothing. Okay, admin items, and we'll go ahead and pull 11E forward, which is the,
Ed, I'm gonna mute you for now.
So we're pulling for 11E, correct?
Correct.
Yes. This is the approval that we gave the 20-foot line easement for everything. And I'd like that to be, I'm suggesting that we reconsider that for two reasons. First and foremost is what was brought up by the representative from the Ponds Work Group. In those instances where nothing is needed, where whatever is in the LME is not interfering, it seems a little foolish to require that to be removed. If it needs to be removed, we're not abrogating our right to do it. So if there is a major expansion and we need the full 20 feet, then so be it. But in those instances where it's not required, and particularly like in this case with Pelican, where the Ponds Group has approved it, along with the district engineer, and PPAC approved it, then I would like this to have that ability to, on an organized basis, allow residents to keep some things where they're not common. What this means, the burden is, if we come back to staff, they don't have that clear mandate that it's automatically 20 foot and it comes out. It may be a bit cumbersome, but I would rather handle those on a case-by-case basis when they're required and bring them up.
So I have a question for staff. So the 20 foot is a stipulation of the county.
Southwest Florida.
I'm sorry, Southwest Florida Water Management.
It's not, well, it's not a stipulation, it's an easement.
It
Gives us the
Yeah,
right to.
yeah, yeah. I'm just curious, because I know this keeps coming back, and I absolutely hate having something in place and expecting variation. And it seems like almost once a month, we've been talking about this. So I know the process in place is, we
voted.
We agreed to 20 feet, and we have a process in place for residents to submit in order for us to review it for special circumstances or whatever. What I keep going back to is how much, having a 20 foot, I get, but what's reasonable? You know, how many cases do we have where, you know, is 20 feet, is that what's needed in most cases for maintenance or for repair?
To separate the two things. I'll speak particularly for Pelican because I'm more familiar with it. I don't think we have anything within 10 feet. And 10 feet is more than adequate to do normal maintenance, including the type of bank repairs that we've done.
That you guys have done.
Because we don't do the.
You don't have machinery like we do.
So that's the bone in the throat, is they've got enough room, and the only reason we make people move things is because we pass the
You
rule.
have to.
And we're not authorizing the materials to be there. We've not in any way said that they have the right to have them there. And what we want to do is to make sure that every owner realizes you are in violation of the maintenance agreement. It may impact you at some future time. You have no recourse against the district if it does come up at a future time. But we're going to allow it right now because it doesn't bother us.
So we go back to the old way.
We go back to the old way.
of
And it's
letting
more
staff-
impactful over here. It is far more because you're older and there have been more violations. But having said that, I reference back very, very quickly to the guy on Tiberia, where Pond said it was okay for his pool and the landscaping. And P-PAC asked us to approve it, and then it hit staff, and staff goes by the 20-foot easement, and we left them no course but to say, it can't be there. And then when it came to the board, and I voted to have them removed, but in reflection, that was impetuous. I shouldn't have done that. So that's one case. So I think the guy's got his easement there. He knows he may lose everything he put in the future if we need it. No problem. He's okay with it. And we also cost him $500 to ask us. It's a stick in the eye when you say, give me $500, we might consider it, and then we didn't consider it. So now I weigh that against, I think it was Pond 109. I went out and looked at that home, and the guy had, I'm going to say 9 trees within the 20-foot easement area. He was asking for consideration. Somehow we got to a compromise where half of them had to come out, but we allowed them to keep the royal cross. So we've got a guy there that we, and rightly so, have said they won't interfere with the work we're doing. So we granted it to him, but he didn't go through the $500 process.
Yeah.
So what I'm asking, my
No.
purpose in retalking this.
I don't disagree with anything you said, except that you did go through the process, because you did pay, you did.
I'm not talking about Tiberius, I'm talking about the guy 109. Did
Right,
he do
we
it?
did, he did,
I'm
yeah.
sorry.
Yeah, yeah. I agree with everything except that.
Excuse me, I thought that the old.
You're ratifying it today.
Oh, well, then at the time we voted on it, we did.
We voted on it, he just didn't have to check with him. And
Because I clearly remember Chelsea saying the only one that did it right was Tiberius.
Yes, I said
Okay,
that.
okay, I stand corrected in that. So, that's what I'm asking for. I don't know how many of these we're gonna have. Is it a pain in the butt? Yeah, but I think we should do it.
Chelsea, what was the issue from the old way? What caused us to have to bring it back? And, because I just want to make sure we're clear on why we changed it in the first place.
I
Do you want me to answer that, please?
I think I can do that
I
too.
think
Go
we did,
ahead.
yeah. So,
I mean, I remember, but
Oh, yeah.
I wanted.
Something precipitated.
yeah, so, prior to this, staff solely with Tetra Tech were going on site and saying this has to be removed and this was not. the board was not supporting staff decisions. Okay?
So the staff was saying this tree needs to be cut down, it's the
So-
recommendation of the contractor.
With the engineer, yes.
With
With the engineer.
Yeah, yeah.
So-
And then
so-
we would say, no, it's okay.
Well, somebody come and plead with us and we
And we'd say it's okay.
acquiesce.
Not necessarily, they would have, because that's when we started with, okay, if the homeowner has an issue, he has to come to us. We're not, while we want to fight for every single homeowner, we don't want to speak on behalf of a homeowner. So that was the issue, we weren't supporting staff, and I clearly remember the words was, staff was not able to make those decisions, neither Tetra Tech. So we said, okay, since we can't support staff, and I was one to bring it up, since we cannot support staff, then we'll follow the guidelines, and this was going back 3 years ago. And then we morphed into when we did Dennis Preserve, it's been the 10 and 12, like we tried different areas. And that is what I'm most afraid of it, that clearly I didn't have a problem having staff and the engineer go out and make those decisions because that's how it was before, and I was a big supporter of it. But then the board was, as a whole, directs
Right.
what goes.
So we had no standard and we were going.
Exactly, while I agree with it, I myself cannot just run and say that's how it's gonna go. The board, the majority did not follow through.
But are we missing one piece in that? So Tetra Tech, staff, but in our case, in Gateway with a lot of the lake bank restoration projects, it's the contractor.
No, because when the engineer puts together the plans, they identify what they believe to be the work zone and what needs to be removed. And so prior to that, it was the engineer determining that footage. And then when the board changed policy, the plans changed, and so
And
when
then staff would have looked, like, Tetra Tech was looking at either the repair or the reconstruction. Staff was looking at the maintenance, like the
Well,
maintenance
but
statement.
you
So
missed
between
my
the
point
two
here a
of
little bit.
those-
I know, I understand that, but when it comes to bid assignment, when we pick a contractor, sometimes those contractors will say, this is how we're gonna do it. So we'll use a barge, or we'll, whatever, this is the type of machinery we have available. Some machinery is smaller, some are bigger. So the contractor, I think, has to have, or could have, some input on what
Has to have.
they deem reasonable for lake bank restoration one. And I do agree, we have to keep them separate, maintenance versus,
Like in this example,
bit-
clearly.
regular maintenance versus, yeah. So, I don't want to have people tear stuff down in their yard that's been there forever. I'm really against that. But I do understand our need for lake bank restoration and for regular maintenance, being able to do that. Because we're paying people to do these jobs and they need to be able to do their jobs effectively. So I'd love for us to just find some, a happy ground. And I know that we should, this board, for as long as I've been on, we have shifted our train of thought to, if it's a policy, we adhere to it. If we don't like it, we change it. If it's a regulation, we stick to it, so we try to get away from the days.
That was a stumbling block for me too, that was why I lived in 20 foot.
Which also, has led us down,
But unintended consequences.
right. So, I think if we could all agree that we're willing to, whatever the solution is, I think the 20 feet, might have been a good intention, but in practice might be more pain than it's worth. Is there, is it 10 feet? Or would you just go back to staff recommendation with, first pass would be staff's recommendation and engineering, because that goes out to bid, and then a revisit with contractors. But we also have to look at, we've looked at some of the stakes. We've had to go back and look at how much erosion and all that stuff. So I think there's all these
There's a lot of
variables,
components.
a lot of
There's a lot
variables.
of components.
So I think we have to have a process where first pass is staff and engineering, and then there is a final pass at when the bid is accepted and contractors come out. So there could be variable times.
I'm with
that we
you
did it.
100% on everything you said with one caveat I'd like to throw in, only because I want to recognize the great work that the Pelican Pond team has done. And if they opine that it's acceptable for them with the Tetra Tech concurrence, that they don't need whatever they need, 10 feet, 12 feet, 30, whatever they come up with, I would like them to be able to offer to us their position and alternative.
Well, what we should be doing, Bob, is, again,
them
whether
over
you,
here
whether
and
you,
do zero
yeah,
two.
whether you
Well,
agree,
well, that-
we're trying to
I
operate
agree
as,
with that.
we're trying to operate as one gateway.
I understand that.
Which would include Pelican, and I've been saying for years,
But
Pelican has had great committees,
Yeah.
experts over there. We would love to have them come over here. But whatever we agree on should be what we agree on for Pelican and for Gateway, in my opinion. Even though some of the methods and means in the past in Pelican is a little different than what we're doing today, I still think 90% of the time we should.
Well, I would think it'd be a major exception if staff would disagree with what the Pelican.
Well, we should, yeah.
That's all. And if we had a ponds work group over here, we'd all love to have it. If we had that, then we'd give them the same respect. But I think they've earned our support in what they've done.
I don't disagree with
You know, with how they've got everything, the drainage and the fish and the aeration, they got all of it. They're way ahead of us. I can't change that. They are. So I want to reward that work that they've done and give a little more weight to their recommendations. And I think we also put the staff in a trick box where, as if they got the 20-foot that we said, how would they ever violate that?
Here's what I would say. I'd say that we, if we repeal the 20 feet, but we also set our policy as the guideline being in adherence with Florida Water Management at 20 feet, that's what staff and Tetra Tech should be looking at.
Yep.
Anything that falls within 20 feet needs to be looked at as far as, okay, these will or will not impede maintenance or lake bank restoration. But I do think we have to put a stake in the ground for BAU maintenance, and almost say 10 feet
So that's.
would be the minimum that we would not go.
And they wouldn't,
within 10
they
feet.
wouldn't either. We're not looking.
And I think you're saying most times that doesn't happen. So if our policy would be we adhere to Florida Water Management at 20 feet. That's where staff and Tetra Tech would start. Anything below that would be reviewed, re-reviewed by the
Based on the
contractor on a per case basis, per contractor. And they would make recommendations, but we will not, which I don't think there'd be any reason for this, but our minimum would be nothing below 10 feet.
Yeah.
That would be an absolute, under no circumstances would we
Okay,
do
so I will have Tony, then I'll have Carol.
Yeah, Carol, go first. I'm sorry.
Okay, because I thought you were gonna say something.
Yeah, I do. Well, yeah, a couple things. My concern is, and I think it can be addressed or attempted to be addressed, nothing's ever perfect, is that as to those properties where the board has agreed that the vegetation within the 20 feet, not all of it needs to be removed, that those property owners receive a letter or correspondence that for this project, we're not going to require removal or removal. Be aware of the fact that your property is encumbered by a lake maintenance easement in favor of the district. We have the right at any point in time to remove anything that interferes with the ability of the district to maintain, operate, or exercise its easement rights. And we may even need to put something, reaffirmation in the public record, although people never read what's in the public record, the official record.
Can I
That's
chime
my thought.
in? I know Carol's next, but I know you're talking about landscaping, but we haven't even talked about structures. I mean, we had 2 fences removed in Daniels Preserve. We have 2 fences right now on one pond bank of 2 HOAs that clearly go all the way to the water's edge. So, I mean, you have to be clear on what your policy is moving forward. If it's landscaping related only, that's fine. Give us clear direction. We'll proceed that way. If you have a different stance for structures, which, again, we need to be clear with what that is.
No, that's an excellent point, because I've had that happen in other districts where the county and/or city gave permits to extend fencing all the way down into the water, because the people had a pool and they wanted to comply with that Pool Child Safety Act and did not want to have a screen enclosure. And this was one way the county said you could do that, but they never came to the CDD until one day the district was out there mowing or attempting to mow the lake bank area, and they, boom, guess what? There's a fence there. Now, there's ways to address that, again, on an ad hoc, case-by-case basis. So that's one thing is, again, that it needs to be clear that the district has a right to remove these. One other aspect is we don't want, be careful we don't create situations where we encourage the possibility for liability for the district. Now, the 20-foot lake maintenance easement is there. We can have everything removed from it. To have these exceptions, I'll call it, to it. One thing that needs to be factored in is, will it make it in a permit condition, so you're contrary to your permit condition, so that somebody, if they have an incident or accident in the area, and they try to say it's because of the vegetation being there. Not only, people come up with weird scenarios all the time, trust me. then we may have some exposure. That's all.
I personally don't see much difference between vegetation and something more permanent. If it's a problem, it's limited to 10 feet. To your point, I think we should have the right to move that out.
There is an alternative. So there's really two ways we can go. We can just repeal this and go back to staff to do your recommendation, or we can keep the 20 feet, but just loosen the review process for exceptions.
What's
It
your
kind of sounded
problem?
like you were leaning more towards, you know,
Whether we repeal it or not, it's still there. It's in the books.
yeah,
That's
it
what we
is
want.
in the books, and I think maybe the process is, that is the policy that we have on the books. However, staff and engineering and the contractor will review, and we'll just make the exception process easier. Like maybe, you know, you don't have to submit the $500 unless, you know, there's a clear conflict between what we would grant exception for and not.
I know Carol had a comment, I apologize. I mean,
Yeah,
I just wanted real quick,
He's there.
when Mr. Latham was speaking, he mentioned about people putting new plantings in. I think that's something that needs to be flatly discouraged. Because, I mean, that's almost sounded like that's the mindset, that people can go in 20 feet and plant new vegetation now. Maybe I misunderstood what you were saying, but it came across that way.
No, you're also.
Oh,
I can
Okay.
clarify,
I would like.
people aren't aware of it, so.
So hold on, Carol, go ahead.
I would like to keep the 20 foot. It's there, it should remain there. In my front yard, I have one of those really beautiful metal green
FPL box.
boxes owned by Florida Power and Light.
Oh, God.
And we're not the first owners of this house, so over the years, people planted bushes around it to try and hide it and all that sort of stuff. About 2 years ago, we had a power outage on our block. Florida Power and Light came out, they cut 2 sides of the shrubs away, went in there, opened the box, fixed the problem, put the thing down, and left. That is what the maintenance easement is for. I think, like you said, Doug, that it should be the engineer, the contractor, and staff that determines what is needed for this particular repair. And on this particular repair, if the contractor can do it without having to take anything out, then we do that, and we send the letter. Because you don't have to protect the future rights. It's this
Right.
problem before you today, it's this repair in front of you today. So if people want to clear everything so that in the future, if there's a problem, we can just go right in and fix it. I don't care about the future. That's the risk that the homeowner or whomever takes at any given moment if you plant bushes and stuff around there. Needless to say, we have bushes around there again. And maybe in the next 5 years, there'll be an outage again, and maybe there won't. But they will come in and do the same thing. I think that should be our policy moving forward, particularly on maintenance.
Well, as it relates to future, Carol, and I don't disagree with the thing you said, as it relates to the future, if you move and somebody else buys the house, if anything they see, they think they have a right to. There ought to be somewhere that they know that the 20-foot exists, and these things are there, and they have to come out.
Are you comfortable with, if we keep everything as is, but we amend the policy to include a review by staff and engineering, and then
And the
and
contractor.
for restoration projects, and then
Restoration or maintenance?
Yeah, that's my.
First,
That's why I'd like to keep
two things.
contractor out of it.
Maintenance is a reoccurring thing. If there is an issue, I mean, 20 feet is 20 feet. If there is an issue with general maintenance, which happens regularly, that's an ongoing, right? So that needs to be addressed. Restoration could be a 1 in 10-year, hopefully
Or
1 in
20.
20-year event. To your point, we may have to move this tree because the type of machinery that we need to bring in prohibits the use of that based on the contractor's means and methods of restoring the pond. So I think maybe the policy needs to be stated for restoration and related projects or for maintenance. So we keep the 20 feet on the books.
Yep.
We add an addendum policy that states, for restoration, staff and engineering will review the design, make recommendations for any exceptions to the 20 feet. That will be re-reviewed upon, well, we're the final. And then it'll be re-reviewed at the time that a bid is awarded and contractor is doing their assessment with their means and methods. Because they might say, oh, not this tree is okay, or, we're using different machinery. So there's a three-part review, and then finally it comes to the board for approval.
I want to keep the contractor out of it because.
But for maintenance, Doug. Maintenance,
I can-
not restoration, but maintenance. I think it should be the decision with staff, the engineer, and the contractor. If they can do the job without taking anything out,
Yeah.
they do the job without taking anything out.
Keeping it on the books
If they have
allows
to
for what
take-
you
But the
said.
If
danger
they
in
have to
that,
take something out
but the danger in that,
to
Charlie,
do the
is
maintenance,
that when they're out there looking at this stuff, the neighbor will go up to the contractor and say, do you need this or not? This fellow's squirming. Historic, no, we're okay, we can get.
Well, that's where staff.
That's keep them, that's why I'm saying keep
Staff
the
and engineers should
contractor out.
come into play there
that's
and
why
say, hey,
staff
look.
and the engineer are there.
That's
too.
the-
Well,
two-
but we should also be instructing our contractors to not have discussions.
Well, that's right.
with
That's
residents
another
when it
issue.
comes to,
So that's why I didn't
anything
want to put them in our proposed language.
No, I do think the contractor has to be in there, but I think that's where staff and the board, could have some.
But I would like to add under the staff column, and I'll go back to this, that if the community has a ponds worker, that's also a part of the problem.
Because this exactly, to your point, if we have a couple different review periods, and it would have alleviated the $500, because it would have been deemed,
But I want to recognize that we do have a lot of very, very dedicated pond volunteers out there. And if your community is fortunate enough to have that group, they should be a part of it.
Okay, so the only thing I was just, and I'm looking at staff, either Daniel or Al here, but regarding the contractor maintenance, I personally feel very comfortable, because I've been in every, like us, you have been in your pond, I've been in every single pond anyway. So I'm very comfortable with staff not bringing the contractor that's doing the maintenance, it's just staff alone, either Daniel or Al, saying that this is okay, just because
Yeah.
there's only two machines that they use, and.
And
it's
vendors
fine.
change, vendors change.
That's true,
right?
too.
And you're
5
Tony-
years from now,
You're
you
Tony
never
with
get-
his pen, I don't even look this way, so that's so much.
Is this something we're gonna vote on?
Yes, Tony.
Just a couple observations, not to throw cold water or anything, but,
Throw the wood.
okay, a couple, for example, from a legal perspective, everyone is on notice that those easements are on their property. The plats are a matter of public record, and legally, they are on notice. Whether or not anybody reads their title insurance policy and understands it, that.
That's what your point is, we
Yeah,
know.
no, they are on notice that that easement encumbers their property. So they can say, we don't really know about it, and most people take the title policy, throw it in the bank vault, throw it in the safe deposit box.
Like
don't
the
exist
HOA
anymore,
documents.
or throw it in a vault in their house.
Like our minutes.
So that happens.
Yeah,
So,
that too.
number one. Number two, I think it's important that the community understands the district has the right to remove anything that's in the district's like maintenance easement at any time.
Correct.
Without even being kind enough to say, Mother, may I, or we're gonna give you 2 weeks to do that. I think that's important to sort of set the tone. Another aspect is, two other aspects. One, that allowing vegetation remain does not impact the stormwater management system. I think that's an important function. But also, if you reduce the width to 10 feet, my concern is depending upon the slope of the particular bank that's involved, whether or not it's too much of a slope.
But we didn't say that. We're not saying that.
No,
We're not putting
no,
that.
but I'm just saying.
But he's saying
I
it's
don't-
what
I don't-
everything
I don't want
is
to, I don't want to
We're
have what's
keeping
happened.
20 feet.
I don't want to happen what's happened at other communities where the person's out there mowing and it flips into the lake and he's got his seatbelt on and gasoline's pouring and he has to get out. And that happened in one of the districts I represent.
All right.
Okay?
So
And I don't want that to happen.
Can we have-
But you clearly didn't.
Can we have staff come back with a
keep our easement,
recommendation on the?
Well, I
on
can
the
give it to
policy?
you right now,
Yes.
very simple.
You
So
were
I want,
there, you didn't have to.
I would like to do it, thank you. So, a couple comments. So, having not been here 20-plus years ago, when this landscaping was installed, we might not be having this conversation right now, because Grandmama Lucy's tree that was installed in the backyard, when they installed it, they didn't think it was gonna be as big as it is now. And so now this board is dealing with the repercussions of decisions that were made 20 plus years ago. So what you're saying now is essentially you're making the same decision that was 20 plus years ago now. I'm leaving that out there, just as a point to be made. What I see happening and what I've experienced in the past is we come through now, restoration happens, God forbid something, and the tree remains, God forbid something happens in the future and we have to come back through. It's now an uphill battle with that resident, good, bad, or indifferent, that, well, 3 years ago it was saved and now you have to take it out. Why do you have to take it out now? That's an argument, and for the future of this board and staff, that's a fight that they're gonna have to fight. And do you wanna put them in that position now? Regardless of what your policy is, you set the policy, we'll implement it. Do you wanna go back to how it was done? We've talked internally, Daniel and I have talked internally about changing our process, doing the surveying up front and actually staking the LME and getting visuals that way, and notifying residents then. I know I've talked to Doug Xander, he said 15 feet is good for most of their ponds over there. Every pond's different. I have a change order for a pond right now that has 5 trees that have to be removed in the 20-foot LME. I have another pond that has a change order that's $70,000 because they went crazy back in the day planting. So if you leave it at the discretion of, what I recommend is staff and the engineer as part of the design phase, if there's any question or any qualms, you sit as the final answer no matter what, if there's contention between staff. And that's as the policy is now at 20-foot LME, your exceptions, you have the final answer as it is now. The question is do you want the final answer after the fact, or do you want it up front?
I remember from front, and a lot of the times, what I have spoken with staff was, and I think with Tetra Tech as well, is it may be within 17 feet, so it's within 50 feet. However, when they do the slope, they will gain 4 feet, so it's no longer an LME issue. So there is that to take in consideration too.
There's a lot of factors.
So there's a lot of factors, and I mean, and if that's what we want to just keep staff and the engineers, I'm fine with it. And if Pelican Preserve Ponds Committee group will if at that point they disagree with Tetra Tech and staff, they're more willing to come and speak on behalf of it, and then we take that in consideration. But I don't think it needs to be within the process itself. Just I would like to keep the process staff and Tetra Tech, and if the ponds group, just one of them, want to come and represent and say that we disagree, then we take that in, because we're going to have the final decision. We're going to have every single one.
I don't see a negative of having ponds in the approval process, because they're there. They're the closest to the citizens, to the residents. And as I said, if you're lucky enough to have the group, they should be part of the process. I can't imagine staff's going to fight them. That this is not adversarial. We're all generally
in agreement.
agreement.
And then I think if you go back and put that hat a few years ago, it was always supported, because the staff wanted to do nothing but conserve less damage. So I don't think we're going to be seeing.
Well, the other part of my hat is the cost.
Oh, that too.
When the ponds group does it, they don't have to have any other cost involved. When staff does it, somebody's got to go out and look and do things.
Well,
but that cost is we're already paying for that.
Well, I know, but I don't like it. I'm trying to put it back.
But we can't, because it's part of the bid.
Yeah, we can.
It's part of what they have to look at to make those plans.
So here's a couple other things, and I agree with Tony. I think
Look for the record, Chelsea agrees with me.
First one this year. A letter needs to go out to the property owners that do have encroachments in the LME to acknowledge that, hey, you have an encroachment. It's unauthorized. It's not obstructing the work of this, but it's subject to that easement. But Tony can make it happen. Draft a pretty letter. But I think the landscaping, I think you revert back to your prior ways. Your structures, hands down, have to have an easement use agreement every single time. I don't think that there should be.
Like if somebody built a fire pit.
I don't think there should be an exception.
Or landscape walls, or things like that.
Yeah, and along those lines, if a good attorney handling a real estate transaction, when you see the survey, it would reflect this encroachment into the easement. And the title insurance policies do not cover any loss by virtue of any encroachments. That would be disclosed by a survey. So they would want to have, and the mortgage companies also would want to have some cover for that. in these non-disturbance.
I'm gonna
release-
throw one more caveat.
That help.
I know, I'm sorry, I'm throwing like a wild woman over here at softball player. I'm gonna go back to Pond 109 a year ago. There was a property owner that had a monster of a tree, it might have been a couple years ago, had a monster of a tree on the edge of the lake bank, that when it came down after a hurricane, it uprooted a lot of our pond bank. And we footed the bill because their tree was in our pond bank and we had to make sure we were in compliance with our South Florida Water Management District standards. So that is the risk, to Carol's point, that is the risk that you take by leaving these, because if a hurricane comes and the oak tree comes down and our pond bank needs restored, we're footing the bill.
But Chelsea, in that particular case, and I don't know the details at all, but if we weren't doing a pond bank restoration, we wouldn't even know it, would we?
No, we do, because we do constant maintenance of it, and the
Oh,
resident,
it inhibited the regular maintenance?
yeah. And
So
the
we should have taken it down anyway, is what you're saying.
Well, the property owner also was raising concerns that his property was being eroded because of the root wall being gone. So I'm just, these are
I
samples,
appreciate that.
examples that are risks that.
But
we're
the
gonna
main
take.
focus today is the one we're gonna be working on, upon that, rather than just
So,
arbitrarily.
so let's recap that and then move on, will we good?
Yeah.
So, okay, so recap, so what we wanna do is, we're gonna keep the 20-foot LME, right? However, when the district engineer is on site gathering information, and I do think a survey prior to would be helpful, given the cost of the survey.
It's expensive.
It's $5,500.
That's expensive. I mean.
I think you can't do this without that survey up front. That is what we have learned on this side.
On this
Well,
side.
and we've not
Because
had a problem with that over there.
We
I hate to
have
to
it.
spend that money.
Okay, so then we keep the 20 LME, and then any residents that would like to keep their tree will fill up the application, and then staff and the district engineer will come to us and give us the recommendation,
Yes,
and then we'll make the.
fill out one of these.
And that's still
Yes.
$500.
Yes.
Well, we can
I
raise
do have a
that
question.
case by case, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'd
Okay.
like to keep it one, if we think 500 is too much, because there is a cost of the engineer, Tony reviewing it, and staff review, so there is a cost of doing it. I'm more comfortable keeping it a flat amount, so if we need to lower it, we can, because it's a schedule.
It's in the fee schedule.
I'm-
We would have
I'm
to
very
go-
comfortable keeping it if somebody wants to put a pool in and then they have to go through this process. But what I choke on a little bit is the guy that's lived there 20 years. It's never gonna be impacted, but now we're asking them to spend $500.
You're asking me
I
to
just
spend
had a question, is
$500?
this on the fee schedule listed as a standalone item for lake only, or is it generally,
The easement use agreement.
it's a general one?
It's
Okay.
$100 for the application and then $400 for the review process and Tony's time coming in front of the board, et cetera.
The recording costs, I think that's
The
also.
recording
Okay,
cost
so
is added
then, yeah,
to.
21 hour, and so that's the cost. Okay, I wanted to see if the cost is really a cost, or is it a cost plus
For 47 and 48, I think we got 19 homes that could
Okay.
potentially be impacted. I'd hate to go out and ask those 19 homeowners, but they gotta spend $500.
well, they don't have to, because they may not even care about the tree, so if they care about the tree.
Well, I mean,
they'll
it's never gonna be impacted. It's up close to the house.
Right.
They're well beyond the 10.
But then,
Just leave that well enough alone.
but we wouldn't go to there, because staff and the Tetra Tech will come to us and tell us, don't go
Okay.
there, you know what I
But
mean?
Tony said we gotta notify the homeowners.
Again,
Yeah.
they already have been notified.
I think
They
it's,
are
Or a
not.
settlement.
I think it's just like another reminder that you've asked us without us, but if they sign the easement use agreement, they're already unnoticed by that. That was the district's
Yeah, I
rights and
know.
what we could do. So you don't need to sign a separate letter. I'm thinking,
The-
I thought the concept was not to have that formal agreement.
Correct.
But allow items to remain. Then definitely need, it's a reminder, hey, we've already told you, this is a
Future,
reminder.
yeah.
The,
You learn
Let
this
me-
in settlement.
Let me help with this.
Yeah.
Surveying happens. They state the lake maintenance easement. We see, the residents see what that 20-foot is. Engineer, staff, pond subcommittee, chair, whomever, walk it together, identify 19 properties. Letter goes out, you have an encroachment into the district's property, period. Just, hey, you're subject to this easement, it's an encroachment. It either does or it doesn't restrict the contractor to do the work based on the engineers and staff and pond subcommittee determination. If we do decide that it inhibits them to perform what they need to do, we say, here's an easement use agreement, fill this out, you're gonna go in front of the board for authorized, move forward.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm saying, that's all of us are saying.
The only problem I have is I've got 19 homeowners times $500, so we're looking at spending like.
No.
We're not spending anything, Rob.
No, the surveys, I'm talking about the surveys. I'm focused on the surveys, not the, if we got 19 homeowners, and we're gonna have to survey all of those
The
lots.
contractor's gonna have to serve.
I'm saying no.
You're talking to, hold on.
Okay.
Because we
Work
have,
with me.
we have active projects right now, and then we have future projects. What I'm suggesting is for future, but no matter what, your contractor's gonna have to survey it,
Survey the
because
property,
they're
yeah.
gonna, they
We've
have,
never done that.
they have to know where the control
The control
elevation
elevation
is.
We have not done that.
Yes, we
in
have.
Belmont.
What we have not done is individual properties. We have done partial surveying. During every single lake restoration, we have done partial survey
Over here.
on both sides
No, we have not.
to find out what control is.
No, we didn't do that.
What we
usually-
have not done is what we did at Danish Preserve and Gateway Greens nowadays, which is a surveying of, in Timber Ridge,
Yeah.
right? That's the type of survey that that's new to us. And only because there's a question mark. Timber Ridge, clearly, there is loss of, of land there. But it is something that's.
I can guarantee you we have not surveyed lots.
Bob, I don't think you can do this without surveying. Now, we can find a surveyor who's much more reasonably priced than what we've had so far. We can put it out for quotes, we can ask, but I think you have to have the survey. How else are you gonna say where that line is? Because that's the,
Well,
you heard
but
Mr. Shaw.
to your point, we've never said that before. We have taken the edge of the grass.
We have done it
Okay,
on
I'm gonna ask that you
36.
don't.
Okay, that's one of the more
I'm gonna
recent.
ask that
Okay.
we don't get interrupted, it's a board
The
meeting.
pond 36, okay, so I wasn't involved in it, the one that was involved. But, I mean, we have gone, and historically, we've gone to the high water mark, and then we've restored it to that, going out of the, that was the way we did it. To my knowledge, we've never gone out to the lot line. Now, I know there's some instances.
No,
where
it's
that-
not, it's not the lot line, that's not what we're talking about.
Well,
Because
that's what the survey is giving
no,
us.
the LME is within the lot line. Go ahead, Sonny.
No, I was gonna say that typically it's on the lot, it's towards the rear of the lot.
That's what I'm saying.
But if
the
you've had
LME
erosion, that lot line moves.
No, the lot line doesn't
No,
move.
No. But there's no more dirt there. Now it's underwater.
But we still
Part of
have
the
the
lot
LME.
is
But we
underwater.
still have the LME. it's
We
just on
still
lot.
have the LME, I'm with that all the time. But in that case, if you lost 4 foot to erosion, your LME is only 15 feet now, the real LME.
No, in the field, but you still need to.
Well, you got 5 foot in the water, but who cares about that?
Correct,
Well-
and then when they're doing the restoration, if the property goes to there, and
If-
so that's one of the items that I was talking about, that when Patrick explained, it's like, yes, they, like, I think the one right behind the office, the
109.
gentleman, 109, there was a little area in the golf course, remember that they lost some erosion due to
Whatever.
20 years. So, don't worry, we don't have to add fill, we don't have to add anything, because by the time we do the slope, it will be
Well,
fine.
I'm
So-
real focused on the cost, and to put $100,000 on something that means nothing, I have a tough time.
Go ahead, Tony.
If the lake bank is eroded to such an extent that it's actually like 5 feet back, so that there's only 15 feet left of fill with LME is, you're non-compliant with your South Florida permit. So you need to
It needs
address
to be
that.
restored, yeah,
Yes.
and which we have, but there's not many, so you don't have.
Haven't done anything.
Well, because the maintenance of the
Because our,
department is so very
our
different than ours.
and everything else is so much better.
Yes.
But I'm just trying to recognize that. I don't want to, I'm going to say waste, that it's not a waste. I don't want to spend the money for a survey, it's not required.
Well, think of it this way, your residents save $500 a pop by doing the survey.
Well, great, I'm spending $5,500 as a board
That is,
to save them
that's one
$500.
price that we've got. It could be less, depending on what, how big the pond is.
Especially when you get a group of them.
Okay.
But I'm real
So
focused
you're
on that
clear with the direction from
$195,000.
this board?
I would prefer a motion. That way it's in the record and that you're deviating from the policy that was previously set and adopted.
Language, please.
That's what
I'm not sure what.
Oh, give me your finger right here, that's all I want.
Okay, it's this.
Hang on.
Yeah, just give me this.
It all depends, is this way, if it's this up or this up?
Well,
Yeah,
and not to throw a wrench in this, but is this for
Here's
ponds
my
that are
garden.
not under construction ponds that have not yet started construction?
Beginning in 26.
Here's what I would suggest. We'll go through the videotape of this meeting, and I'll work with Chelsea to draft a motion that's consistent.
Work with me too.
It depends on their answer on active projects or future.
But no, I
projects.
understand, but no, at the conclusion of this discussion, so that we bring it back to the board in a written
Okay.
format, so we don't sit there and,
Okay,
that's my suggestion.
That
because
sounds
of-
good.
Well,
I'm
Because,
fine with that
because
as
of
well.
the nature of this animal.
so then as of now, continue as how we are
So if it's under contract, it's 20-foot clear-cut LME. New contracts that have yet to be executed, like you have 2 on the docket for later this afternoon, which were bid at a full clear-cut. We're gonna
Which
go
is
back.
fine, we just have a
You say,
reduction
you say
price.
something,
But for 47 and 48 specifically,
which have not started construction.
because there wasn't, we're not going to employ it for those two. They will be waived for this year.
After we get a survey.
We don't need to say, but don't aggravate. 47 and 48, so we don't lose the year.
We're compromising.
That's the compliment. The
We
47
open a
The
survey company,
the
just so you
survey-
know, that I saw there's a survey company in Bob's Government, he's gonna
Okay,
get.
can we have this for the next meeting?
Yeah, I was, if
Yeah, but
I
we
could,
want to get 47 and 48 wrong. We can't keep them kicking them.
He's not starting until April.
But he's not, yeah,
if I could suggest, if we can just have bullet points consensus from the board.
okay, so the bullet points are, Carol's point, we stick with the LME to 20 feet. Then first item is when the contractor is on site, I mean, not the contractor, the staff is on site with the district engineer, they will mark which trees they think is gonna be an issue.
Make a recommendation.
After survey, after survey.
Okay, yeah, after the survey, do they need it?
They must have stock in the survey.
I think it's absolutely necessary.
Okay. And then they'll come to the board
With a recommendation.
for their recommendation.
Okay.
And
For
then,
all future lakes,
yes,
47,
Yes.
48.
And if the community has a ponds work group with their dogs.
they'll be able to come and speak.
Subcommittee if appropriate.
Yeah.
Okay.
The committee, and I don't want to down Jim or Doug or anybody on the ponds committee work, but they're advisory in nature.
Yes,
Yeah.
they are, yes.
Well,
So,
but they're certainly participating. You wouldn't know we're doing it if they didn't tell you.
We will staff will work together with those folks on bringing together a recommendation. So that way.
But you got staff leading the horn here, and they're not.
No, they're
The
not.
generation is coming from that work group.
Understood.
But it's a combination of all 3
Yeah,
entities.
but then we gotta pay for them to come over when we don't need them.
We do need them because the staff works, we already went over this. The volunteer group has no skin in the game. If something doesn't work
But
right, it
PPAC
comes on
does.
us.
PPAC does.
Non legally, they don't. We do.
We empowered them.
I know, but we will be the one writing the check, not them.
If you're expecting
No,
me to
no,
manage
no,
this
no.
district,
Claudia,
then staff
you're
will
not
be
writing
involved.
the check.
Yeah.
The check is being written by what they tax their residents through the non-ad valorem. They are writing the check. You're just signing it, but they put the money in the account.
Correct.
PPAC is the driver. It is not staff. PPAC is making the recommendation that they're gonna fix these 2 ponds next year, not staff.
Not talking
And
about,
PPAC is taxing our residents to do that.
but I'm not talking about what PPAC is recommending to be fixed. That's not what I'm talking about.
That's what this is all about.
I'm talking about, we're talking about the process, the bullet points that we need to, that we need to work on.
And I want PPAC as the ponds groups, if a neighborhood has it, to be intimately involved and recognized because they are contributing. Why is this a problem?
And did we say that's not happening?
Yeah, I never heard anybody say when we're doing, all I hear is staff and the engineer. I've yet to hear the
I
ponds.
think we just mentioned subcommittee.
He just mentioned, Bob.
Subcommittee.
Okay. Oh, wait, let's see the bullet points.
Okay.
Don't denigrate my groups.
Is that good enough? You got all?
Yes, it is.
Should I miss anything? Down?
Clear as mud, yes.
Who knows?
No, it's fine, I'm fine with that.
And one thing we do need to recognize is that when people put a pool in, I don't know how often that happens here, but there could be, that's gonna be a variance of an existing situation. Somebody puts a pool in, and they go up to their property line with the LME of the property, that's okay. And then if they choose to,
No,
they don't go into the LME. If they put a pool
We
in,
have
up to the
We
LME,
have no skin in the game.
no
right.
problem.
But if they so choose to take the risk, like Carol's meter box, and put something in there, we're not gonna tell them
Tiberia.
they can't do it. But they
Tiberia.
know it's at risk, yes. Like, I'm not gonna ask Tiberia, we've gotta take it out. We shouldn't do that. It's there, it's on his dime.
Well, then then that item will have to come back in front of the board, because the
Okay,
board has
I
already
know, I
said
know,
no.
that's what I'm trying to do, I don't want it to come back. And what we'll tell that resident is, you put it in there, it's on your dime, and if it's gotta come out at a future dime, it comes out. We're not giving you permission to do it.
That's
But
what
the
let's
city of
stick-
Fort Myers also told them that they could not put
That is correct,
landscaping
but now
there.
City of Fort
But
Myers
they
is
did
going
it
up.
anyway.
They did, everybody would do that,
Okay,
Carol.
so.
Everybody.
No.
Oh,
No,
yes.
I will.
No.
Yes, absolutely. You
I will
won't find a
tell you
pool
ahead-
that doesn't go up to the line.
I will tell you that ahead of time, no, because the county, I'll tell you, one of the counties, Lee County, you're required to end the pool, I think, 4 feet prior to your property line. So
But
that's
we don't
not-
have that in ours.
Yes. So,
I have
let's
enough
finish,
for the guts of this, as
yes,
opposed to the other.
you,
aspects.
let's finish one item. If we're good, give
Yes.
the clear directions. Okay. So,
This will be an agenda item.
for us to make a motion and give Chelsea clear direction on the
We'll
next
we'll
meeting.
draft a draft motion
Thank
for the
you.
board to consider.
And we're moving ahead with 47 and 48.
They're not
Well,
going
they don't
back
have
to
a
the way
contractor for 48, but yes.
What,
Okay.
I
So
don't wanna lose
we
either.
already pulled item E, so now let's go ahead to 11A.
Do you wanna, maybe pull Douglas back, or you wanna take a break, take a 5-minute break?
Another break?
What do we have here? 1, 2, 3.
She wants to make sure Doug is back.
Well, Russ has stayed.
Well, if Ed's offline and Doug is gone, we can get a lot of stuff done. Let's roll.
Right. Is Ed offline?
Ed is online.
He's online.
Hi, Ed.
Not that long.
Why don't we just hold off on 11A and go to B?
Yeah, because the other items are easy. Okay, so let's go ahead and move to 11B, which is consideration of the award for the landscape restoration 78 and 81.
75 and 81.
75 and 81. Thank you.
Steven, do you wanna go over this? Yeah.
You're telling me that he was online this entire time?
Yeah.
Did you hear the keyboard clapping? I'm just kidding.
Steven, you there?
Hey, sorry, I just stepped out to use the restroom real quick.
You took a 5-minute break.
So this one, this is the ITB for like 75 and 81. This one came in pretty close to our estimate. This one was 13% higher than our estimate. It seems in line based on the previous bids. It's lower. This is, if everyone forgot, this is the we rebid these 2 sets of lakes. The numbers came in much better, and our recommendation is to move forward and award the contract to Met Tower.
And so what is the situation on these 2 lakes?
Like the percent-
Clearing, with clearing.
So, with the direction that you just gave, which we'll memorialize at the next meeting, is the engineer and now the contractor and staff will walk it as part of the pre-con and flag, well, after it's surveyed,
Right.
we'll, I had to get that one in for Bob. We'll walk it and flag any landscaping that needs to be removed as part of construction, and then we'll go from there.
And then you get a blessing from, you get a say from the subcommittee, bond committee.
No, because these are gateway ponds.
Okay.
Okay,
I thought you were gonna do the work. I thought, what do you mean, no, you don't wanna come do the work here?
No, I don't get a good.
Will the
My
letter that
question-
Tony suggested be sent out then?
Yes, as soon as it's drafted.
The bid that we rejected was how much for these 2 ponds?
Steven, do you have that off the top of your head?
It was 781,
Trying to
360.
pull it up right now. Bear with me.
781, 360.
What are you talking? From the last
He's
time?
asking me the
The
question.
bid
he
that
already
we
gave an answer.
rejected because it was too high.
Last time?
We've only rejected one. That
Steve.
bid that we rejected was 781, 362, and now we're tickled pink with an 887 bid.
No, it was higher.
Okay, that's why. I wrote them down when we did it.
Their estimated cost,
Their-
Bob,
that's-
was 781,000. So Tetra Tech's original estimate of the cost
And that's what
was
Steven was
781.
saying, that was very close to his cost, but a little bit higher.
13% higher.
Go back.
Right
Yeah,
here.
just that column that says EOPCC, it's engineer's opinion or probable cost. It's not a vendor.
Okay,
That's,
so what was the actual bid that we rejected?
I don't remember.
I mean, last time.
The low bid last time was $1,063,000.
Thank you. That's what it was the last time. It's the same here this time, what happened?
Yeah, because they wanted it to keep the same price.
Because
So they didn't lower their,
Nope.
Met Tower did.
That's our bid.
Bid, he did, it wasn't about price issue, it was about,
He had bid,
yes, so there was an issue, it was another issue.
okay.
Okay, so we're ready to make, is anybody ready to make a motion?
I'll make a motion, we accept the low bid. Met Tower.
Okay, accept the recommendation of the engineer.
All right, so we have a motion on the
Second.
floor, second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, go ahead, item C. Lakes, 94 and 109.
Go ahead, Steven.
All right, so this is ITB 2508 for 94 and 109. This one came in lower than our estimate. Met Tower was the low bidder on this one also, and we're recommending award to Met Tower.
Yeah, your recommended or expected bid was $1,457,000. So this is even lower. So
Okay.
we really achieved it on this.
Okay, so
I'll make a recommendation, we accept.
Met Tower.
Motion to
And
accept the
then-
engineer's recommendation and award to Met Tower.
And then, again, is this the same process?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
State surveying, walking it, sending letters, notice, and any encroachments.
This one I already sent notice at 109.
All four of these, we've
But
already
we'll
sent
go ahead and do
notice.
it again, okay. So we have a
Okay.
motion on the floor,
second.
all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, so the next item is consideration of award for access control and patrol services at Stony Brook.
So this, the access control services for Stony Brook's Gatehouse and their roving patrol was up for renewal. We put it out to bid. They're currently on a month-to-month contract with Statewide. The selection committee was comprised of their HOA as well as staff. And so the recommendation from the selection advisory committee is to proceed with statewide security enforcement investigations in the not to exceed amount of $366,248, which includes access control and patrol services. Historically, Stony Brook HOA has paid the roving patrol portion out of their HOA. I don't know if we have to stop the meeting now.
Yes, we do.
Yes.
Brief recess.
Okay, so we take a 5-minute break?
Yes.
All right. Want tea, Carol? You wanna make some? You want some tea? I'm gonna make tea.
Chelsea,
You want tea?
on those last two votes, how did Ed vote?
I lost the signal again.
As we're on recess, we'll be back in just a couple minutes.
Okay. Okay.
All right.
Get him his-
Flavia, are you back in?
Yes, ma'am. B, C, and D, we now just have to reconcile your vote and that vote because we had to. So we have to vote revision A.
So did they
A,
leave another
D, E, and F.
copy for
You
you
wanna,
at the end of the
All right,
meeting?
so it's 4:38, let's the rest of
No, just B and C.
He is done.
Just to get up.
Yeah.
Yeah, E is done, so we need to, we have to have D, F, and A.
You got
No,
a
you
flat
didn't do
jacket on under
B
there?
and C.
I mean,
You're done.
I don't
Around.
know.
I know,
We're back in
I'm telling
session?
him that we
You haven't
need,
done those.
yes, I'm telling him that we need to do D,
Yes.
Ed, are you on?
D and F.
F, and A.
And F.
Yes, that's what I'm
You
saying.
unmute yourself.
So we're back, 4:38, and what do we need, Chelsea?
We need to just,
Confirm Ed's vote on the last item.
Okay, so Ed, on item B, for the Lake Bank Restoration, 75 and 81, your vote is a yes or no? You'll leave.
Laura normally drives this. Ed, you have to, I think you have to unmute yourself. I don't know that I can unmute you. He was just on when you guys were on break. I told him that you guys had a couple more minutes. Ed, are you there?
Well, we had
It was already.
a quorum, so.
Yeah, when he comes back, we can ask him to register his vote.
Okay.
Well, it won't change since we're unanimous.
For the record.
For the record. To Marty's point.
Okay, so D, so that's where we stop. So go ahead.
This is Stony Brook.
Hold on, Ed's trying to FaceTime me. Are you able, oh, here, hang on.
He needs to become technically competent. Move on. We need to get-
Hold on.
No, I'm as bad as
Can you
he is.
unmute on your, on Teams
I vote yes for the Lake Bank project.
for both B and C?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Do you want me to keep you on the phone?
I'm gonna stay on the phone because I don't know why it's not working.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, so Chelsea, go
And
ahead.
you'll have to end the Teams, exit the Teams or you'll get feedback.
Don't worry about it. D.
When we turned off,
Yeah.
You hang up the wrong phone, that's what I said, don't worry about it.
Oh, you are so technically
Oh,
competent.
it's okay, it's okay.
Stony Brook.
Let's move on.
Chelsea, you can end his session in Teams. You can boot him from the meeting.
Oh, the
Okay,
voice.
well, all right.
God speaking.
Well,
Let me just,
Oh, just kidding.
let him do that because he might be,
yeah.
unless you get him.
End it on Teams. You can keep on the phone.
Chelsea, you can do that for him.
All right, hold on.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing.
Remove. Okay. Can you hear me? Okay. So we're moving to Stony Brook Services. Anyway, the contract is for $366,248, which includes roving patrol. What?
Well, just go up a little.
And was this the low bid?
I will tell you in 1 second.
That's their recommendation, right?
Yes.
From some of their
Yes.
songs.
And this is the one that they have right now.
Yes.
But I'm just saying, is this the low bid?
can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Um,
Do I need to
Laura,
turn the
can you
phone
pull
off?
up Laura, can you pull up the cost proposals for this? I believe they were.
Yeah, give me a minute.
Okay. I believe they were, but I want her to just double check.
Because this is the guy that lives in the community.
Yes. They had
This is
some,
the one that did not bid the last time as well, right?
correct. There
So
were,
this is recommendation by from Stony Brook.
yes.
Their money.
Yeah, so.
Yep.
I don't see, I've motion to approve.
And I'll even second it. I don't care what the other one
Okay,
is.
so we have a motion on
This
the
is what they
floor, a
want.
second,
Motion by who?
motion by Doug, motion by Bob.
And yes,
You weren't here. There was a man that just came here and took my blood pressure.
We have a motion and a second, we'll call for.
One of our people
Aye.
Aye.
was here. I was testing out a new.
I'm muted.
But I thought the person who runs this company doesn't he live in Stony Brook or something?
Yes, ma'am.
He does.
Yeah, so that's why I was asking if this was the low bid.
Last time I
As opposed
checked,
to
it-
awarding a contract to somebody who's,
It's what
My
they
neighbor.
wanted, I'm just supporting what they want. They're paying it.
It was a little bit
I think
by,
specifically for this one, but historically he has been.
it was a little bit by like $1,000.
thank you, that's all I wanted to know.
Ed, can you just register your vote on that last one, please? You have to unmute yourself again.
Say it again.
Can you just register your vote on that last one for the Stony Brook Access Control Services? Yay or nay?
Yay.
Thank you. All right, you want to go back to A?
Is that a
How about F?
question? F, let's
Let's
do
do
F.
F.
Actually, why don't we do F and then go back to A?
Yeah.
Let's get this over with.
All right. So this next, let me get there for you on the agenda. So this next request is the easement use agreement for Mr. Curtis and Molly Shaw's property on Hidden Links. This pond is contractors anticipating on starting in the next couple weeks. So your 20-foot clear cut that you just discussed, this project is under contract and the contractor is active, so the 20-foot clear cut policy would be enforced.
Go back to the picture if you would.
Yep, there's some more. I was gonna scroll to the end.
Okay.
Because he provided some pictures. So he's on pond, I think it's 130. Let me go to the picture so you can see. So he's requested for a handful of landscaping to remain.
Yeah, this one too, okay. Yeah. All right. Okay, so that's the one that I was on site that had some bushes and not everything, okay.
So these are,
So my question is, does the engineer and staff and the contractor feel that to do the job, they must take this down or can it be worked around?
I don't have an answer for that because we weren't looking at that as part of the
We still have
policy.
that on the.
What about the rest of the line?
No.
The other,
What we can do is, we can bring this back with a staff recommendation. Again, your policy, according to this, is clear cut.
Right,
So
right.
what we can do is we can go back and look at this and bring this back to you at your next meeting on February 20th. Contractor isn't planning on mobilizing before then. And if he would, I would ask him to hold off on this property on removing any landscaping, if you'd like for us to evaluate that. But the rest of the pond has the 20-foot clear cut.
for my question is, looks like there's some additional properties where there's trees and
It
additional.
no, it curves, you see the pond here? I was on site, the only thing that we have here is a really big washout, like a really big one.
They're not,
They're not, it's just because the way it curves.
okay.
Yeah.
So that's kind of an illusion, that they were closer than the easement, closer to the water than.
Yes, it's right before the weir, so
Okay.
it just
Okay.
really turns. And then I believe this is the one that engineer also find, one of the last meetings, that by the time, that it's 1 or 2 feet, but by the time they do the slope, it's not gonna be
Okay,
an issue.
okay.
Because they had to bring sand in.
Because of significant erosion.
Because of significant erosion right by
Okay.
the property over, you know what I mean?
I think that's a good
no-brainer
recommendation.
for the next meeting.
Okay, so you want us to bring it back with staff
Yeah.
and engineer's
Yeah.
recommendation? Okay,
And contractor.
thank you for coming in.
Sure. Town likes that kind of.
Thanks for your consideration.
Hey, you should be able to say, I can do it or I can't, period.
All right, going back to.
Okay, A.
Hey, Russ. You're back, Russ. So was there any follow-up questions or comments for Russ with regards to the report? And I will caveat
Did you read
this.
all of it?
No, I haven't read it.
I give you 5.
It doesn't matter reading, I gotta go line by line with him, I'm not pain in his butt.
So
I will do that.
if you choose to stay with the tentative timeline that was originally put together, we would have to advertise for a public hearing to be on March 20th of over a month in advance. Go ahead, Tony, your point here. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, following the protocol and process we utilized last time, we advertised 30 days in advance in the news press for the public hearing to consider adopting and approving the revised 2020 assessment methodology. And thereafter, when the board embarked on its budget adoption, the purpose of adopting it was, I think it was in May of that year, 2020, was to adopt it in time for the board to utilize and staff to utilize preparing the budget for 2020. Then at the time of the budget adoption hearing, there were other advertisements and individually mailed notices to all the property owners under Florida statutes because the basis and process of assessment has changed. And then we also had the big ad in the newspaper. So you get, I'll call it a second bite at the apple where people want to come in and contest the assessment methodology and or their assessment on the property. So if we're going to, the board's going to consider approving for purposes of the budget and for going forward, the assessment methodology be utilized in this year's budget preparation. If they want to have that on March 20th board meeting, I need to know today in order to timely place or prepare an ad to be placed in the news press, at least submit it for a date that's 30 days in advance. At the board meeting of February 20th, if I was to have the ad already, I could try to submit it. We can do it online now. The nice part about the news press, they have transitioned to a process where you can set up an account, go in yourself, outline the ad, prepare the ad, proof the ad, and request a particular date. And then the news press will have on a calendar, open dates, closed dates. And then if for example, on February 20th, the board was to say, go ahead and advertise it for March 20th, the problem is there's 8 more days left in February. And so that's 8 days, then we have 20 days in March, we would not be able to make the March 20th hearing date. So we need to know today whether to advertise for March 20th.
Tony, would it be appropriate for a motion to authorize the setting of the public hearing on March 20th based on the recommendations and the report presented by Russ today?
Is that a motion that you can make that motion if the board wishes to?
I'm asking, would that be the appropriate motion?
Yes.
And so I would,
That's the motion I make then to proceed with setting a public hearing on March 20th, 2025, based upon the results of the study that Russ presented to us today.
And the report that's, if the report that's in the agenda packet for today, recognizing the board can, after taking public input at the public hearing, can either continue the hearing, can make modifications, make adjustments. If you recall, I believe last time, we even had, the April meeting was initially scheduled, then it continued to May, if I'm not mistaken. So that because of input from the public. So that's a possibility.
Yes, we always have the ability to make changes. You there? What happened?
I can still hear you. I can't hear them at all,
Okay.
though. I don't know what happened.
We lost you. Yeah, I make that motion to go on ahead and authorize setting the public hearing on March 20th.
I think they froze because everything on the camera is sitting perfectly still. I have it up on my computer so I can see the boardroom and it's not moving. So I'm wondering if they lost internet.
I don't know. Can you hear me?
I can hear you and you can hear me, but I'm at home. So, and you're off site. It says we're on hold.
Oh, am I talking to Laura?
Yeah, you're talking to Laura.
Oh, I thought
You and I are
was
having a
talking to-
conversation. I don't
What
know what's
happened?
going on.
Uh-oh, I just went blank on the screen.
Everybody dropped but me and you.
Do what?
Everybody dropped off the meeting except for me and you. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, this is a pain in the butt.
Well, you'll hold on, so hopefully they'll get back in.
Yeah, I'm almost out of power too.
We're
I definitely want to
recording.
get
Okay,
this
they're back.
motion.
I hear.
Okay. Hold on.
So there's a motion, but not a second.
so,
Okay, yeah, but
yeah, he's back.
oh, he's back?
Yep.
We're good?
Hold on. It says,
Just for recording purposes,
I can hear you, but I can't see you.
yeah, I don't, okay. Well, we're recording here locally, not that means.
You're not sharing a screen or anything, just so you know.
I know, so, hold on.
But I say go ahead. Ed said he's running out of juice on his phone, so.
So, okay, so we have a motion by.
What's the motion?
We have a
The
motion by
motion,
Ed.
if I recall, was,
What it is, it's,
He's gonna recall, he's gonna revise.
I'm
review it.
repeating Ed's motion as I underheard it,
okay.
was to authorize, to set the public hearing for consideration of approving the, adopting the assessment methodology for March 20th and authorizing the placement of the advertising. That's the motion. For sake of clarity, if someone else, that's the motion that's out there to my understanding. There's not yet been a second.
Yeah, so I'll second for discussion. Here's my position on it. I want to make sure that Bob and Carol have significant time to ask any questions, or if they've got, any, let's say, minor adjustments to the assessment, and they give them time. Now, I think we can do that with 30 days approving this. I think we have time. Because again, as Tony stated, we have the public hearing, we'll have public comment, we'll have time to even have further discussion. We can amend if needed. I'm just very cognizant of timeline. But I want to be very clear here. I want to make sure that Bob and Carol, even though I think Bob's had more questions than Carol, that we're comfortable. Because when we go to approve this, we may not all agree 100%, but I think it needs to be a unanimous vote, or at least find a way that we're comfortable with it. If not, I don't want it to be a 3-2 Gateway versus Pelican. I think the optics on it will be terrible. So, will that give you 30 days time to?
I would like to wait, I'd like to defer to just one meeting. I don't know what's the magic about these dates, but.
Because
they're all tied to budget. Budget's not, because we will start next year's budget discussion.
Hello.
So I think 30 days is, I think he'll have all the answers that he wants, and then any recommendations that you like to do, you'll make it at the public hearing to us.
Ed, can you hear us?
What we need
I would
is.
like to get it.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, perfect.
To Doug's point, I would like.
My only thing is I don't want to lose time. We've made a couple of, we've had Russ do a couple
No, I think
Hold on, they're talking.
modifications and they didn't go through. I think we're down to what we've got is the best, fair and equitable, system methodology we can get, ready to present it to the public.
Madam Chair, just for clarification, I think the only approval that's been the motion.
It's for the notice.
Is setting the public hearing date.
Yes.
That's
So
all.
I think it's premature.
Okay, Tony,
Yes, ma'am.
at the end of that public hearing, could there be a motion to adopt this?
Absolutely. And that's the goal, is to,
Okay.
But there should also be a
Or
motion.
adopt with changes.
well, when you say this, I mean, the revised assessment methodology.
We have
Well,
a
the
draft
actual-
before us today.
No, the document you have before you will be, it'll be noticed that the board will be considering adopting this revised methodology with a draft date of such and such a date. The public's welcome to make comment. At those public hearings, you'll be taking comment from the public. You can make, the board wishes to, but, the usual majority vote, make changes and adjustments, corrections, and revisions, and then vote, and if you need to, then continue to another time and date certain.
My
So-
concern is that there are members on this board that will just vote that day that this is it, period.
That could happen.
And I think that will start an even bigger war
What
than the
I
war that's already festering at the moment.
would like to see, Carol, is if there are areas of concern, and let's speak very clearly, it's for Pelican, because that's where, that's where most of the issues of, I don't know if I call them issues, but conversations lie.
Well, yeah, because everyone's impacted.
Well, I think everyone's,
Okay.
yes. I think we've gone through an arduous process to get here. If there are items that there's still points of contention or options from a Pelican perspective, that you will be prepared during the public hearing to say, hey, we have 3 items that we'd like to address to the board. It is percentages here, under this, under that, so we can have a conversation on, is it valid? Does it make sense? We can do that in a meeting. We're all adults and board members. We can do that. And if it makes sense, we amend. if there are some items that maybe we need to potentially look at, we could extend the meeting to, to the next week or whatever. But what I'd like to see happen is us put this in motion, because we do have timelines that we're trying to back into. But I'd also like for you guys to do your due diligence and say, look, if there's items that you have issues with, come to this board with solutions and alternatives, as opposed to us just arguing, I want to do it the way we did it last year, or I think it's too high, or to me, that's not a logical, and I get it, I get why you're saying it, but I think 30 days is enough time for you guys to meet with Russ, to talk with your people at Pelican, to talk with staff.
But what is the negative of delaying it to the
Budget,
budget because of why?
Because of next year, we have a timeline.
because Laura starts the budget, remember how we have that schedule in November or October when we went through it? Like, we had a very, little.
Is it more important for us to meet a budget deadline or to try and do this cooperatively?
Well, do you need, how
You
much
have-
more time than
you need
30
more
days?
than
We don't,
6.
well, no, we don't.
You have 30 days.
You have 30 days to do
You have a
it.
month.
The 30 days is when we should come back and talk about what I'm gonna learn in the next week, 2 weeks.
No, 30, within the next 30 days, you're gonna meet with Russ, and you're gonna go over all your questions and your answers. Right?
And I'd like to
then-
bring them
and
back
then-
here.
And then you're gonna come
and
in,
we
what
resolve it.
Doug is asking is, when you bring with items that you don't agree with on, just say, I don't agree with this, here's a solution specific how you like to be done, so then we know. I don't think I necessarily wanna know the ins and outs, but
I don't know.
We can have in-depth conversation at the public hearing.
That's
That's
what I'm
fine.
saying.
We can hash it. We can stay for 3 hours if we need to hash through this in order for everyone to be comfortable.
Well, I'll
And I
mirror
will,
what Carol
Okay.
said.
I will agree to stay as
It's
long as
just
we
gonna
need
be-
to.
too.
For instance, today, did it truly make sense to you that one golf course is paying 3 times as much as another golf course? Just common sense.
I
But
need
when
to
Russ
know
says-
what,
No.
I need,
But
no, but I need to
why
know
should
what
it
are
be-
the, what.
I
So
don't-
let me answer the
but
question,
the-
no, but
Russ
because I
is not
need him,
offering us another solution.
no, because I
Well,
asked him to give us
okay.
what he used as a balance, what are the items, I asked for him to give me that.
Okay,
So that's what he's gonna provide to me,
In 2 weeks.
whatever one he provided, an email next, he has it, he did the work, so he can just provide it to me in a day or two. And
Was
then
my motion seconded?
I don't understand that. So if we miss the budget, big deal, we'll do it the following year. I don't think that's gonna happen. I wanna get it done in the 26th year also. But I mean, that seems like we gotta get there no matter what happens. I don't agree with
Well, I
that.
mean, was my motion seconded?
So we
Is
have
there
a motion,
another
yes, we do have a motion. and a second for
methodology that
discussion.
you could use for the golf courses so that we could understand why there is this huge difference between what one pays and the other pays?
Let me show you both of them, how they were calculated. Budgets drive it, a lot of things drive it. I'll put them side by side, so you'll see why they
Okay.
came out to what they came out to be.
Is there anything else?
What about silos?
I already did the silos.
It's on the next
We
one.
reviewed it today. We went, we spent an hour
We're getting
going through the
one. We're
silos.
getting
You asked for
Silo.
silos dollars, right?
How many different
You asked for
silos?
Is there
dollars.
any
You wanted
way
it
we can
separated,
do
they were
this
separated, guys.
compared to
Come on.
this?
That's what I did in the
Do your due
silos.
diligence.
I'm not comfortable that I understand it yet. Thank you.
That's fine.
So-
But you have 30
I will.
days.
I will.
Well, so,
So you have 30 days to get comfortable.
We've
Okay,
been, Carol, we've been working on this for months.
can
yeah, right.
I help
Yes,
you?
sure, try.
Okay, so Bob raised the concern of the golf course. Russ just told you he's gonna get you that side by side.
Try to do a conference call.
Carol's asked for the silos. Maybe Russ can take some time to explain the silos. He's done that math for you. If anybody else has a question, I'm sure. What else?
Six and
That's
six.
it.
Can Russ
That
make,
is
can
Six
Russ,
and six.
can Russ make it available for any board member that would like to do it?
I'm about ready to run out of juice. I want to call the vote for this.
Okay.
The fact that the difference of keeping all of it in Pelican and as opposed to moving that tree line stuff over to
And
administrative,
its
which goes
impact on
over
commercial.
everything.
And that may be in here, and that's what I'll,
And
It's in
that's
there.
what I want to be
Okay.
clear, I will go back on my word on that.
So there's one new thing that Russ has to bring to you, and then he has to explain the memo that was submitted as part of the package that was already previously requested. I believe Mr. Tinkle is asked to call for a vote because he's losing power to his phone.
So we have a motion and we have a second, and then again, just within 30 days. we have to be able to make the decision, amend or approve at that time of the public hearing. Motion on the floor, a second. I want to call for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed?
Opposed.
Okay. 3-2.
Back to the 3-2.
Thank you. One discussion point, if anticipating another large attendance, we can find a forum for
Not
it, but not the
there,
high
not
school.
there.
We'll try to find a church.
The church has always been pretty good.
We'll try the
Church,
church,
yes,
the gateway church.
The one by Eagle Point,
Yes.
Yes.
yeah,
try
that's
that
been,
one.
that's been very helpful and useful in the past,
All right.
for the public hearing.
Okay.
And
Did
that
Ed
way-
drop?
What?
Did his battery drop?
I
I mean,
can't see anything on my
I would
side.
tell
'cause
Carol and Bob this, if we get to that meeting and there are points that are valid, that we need to look at, I will not vote for this thing to go through. We're not trying to strong on this thing, but what we're asking for is,
Doug, okay. Now, I hear the words, but that's not what I see the board doing.
I mean,
Since there are reservations right now, significant reservations by 40% of the board, and we just voted 3-2
but
to
it just seems
go
like every
ahead
time you
anyway.
guys ask for something, Russ brings it back, we silo. We look at this, we showed you mathematically that the old way is more expensive than the new methodology, but that's not good enough. You still want to.
No, I didn't say it's not good. I just said, I didn't.
Carol
get
said
this-
silos, she just said it.
I did.
I didn't get this information enough.
I know you gotta review it.
And I understand.
Fine. It's-
And that's all I'm saying.
If it's valid, that's fine.
Okay,
No
so there are
question.
3 things that are followed up, Russ is gonna follow up with. He's gonna go over, for those who need further clarification on the silos in the memo, he's gonna go over the landscaping breakout, which he's already calculated, and then he's gonna calculate
The golf course
the
explanation.
golf
one,
course
that's it.
explanation, and provide that as soon as reasonably possible.
Okay.
Are you clear with that? Good?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
And Russ, did you understand Ed Hedges' comments when he came up and spoke in public?
Yes, I did.
Okay,
As
I
a
wanna make
matter,
sure we covered that also.
as a matter of fact, I want to clarify a couple things that he said, which were inaccurate.
And I don't doubt
Go
that.
ahead.
I just want to make sure that we have time to talk about those things.
I did, and he pointed out a few things. One thing was correct, I didn't realize that there's a Fort Myers, you have the city of Fort Myers.
We can't get Lee County, we have to use.
I understand that,
Okay.
just let me finish.
Okay.
There is one in in the total admin for the sheriff's department. I need to get that cost, because we need to add that in there to the total admin portion.
What does that mean?
That means I need to know what your budget line item is for that.
So
The
we're
city,
gonna,
the
the
city
city
of Pelican
of-
Preserve has none for the Lee County, but they do
But
have one.
for the I
city
need to
of
get the Fort Myers
That's
one and
exactly.
add that over.
So,
I got that.
in what you did right now, you only had part of the cost, is that what it?
I had the sheriff's part,
Which
the
is
gateway
only
side.
gateway cost.
Right, but I needed the Fort Myers Police Department to add in there
Was-
as well.
Any of that gateway sheriff's cost currently residing, because you didn't know about the city of Fort Myers, in the Pelican budget?
It's in the admin budget that
It's in
everybody
the-
shares.
Yes,
So
Yes.
it should, I agree, it should be only on the gateway side.
yeah, okay.
And then we add another column for City Fort Myers, and that should be only on the Pelican side. That's easy.
That makes sense.
That makes
And
sense.
that makes
That's
perfect
not
sense to me.
100, yeah.
And that's fine. I just,
And then what
it
about
wasn't in
Streamline?
yours, so if it
I
wasn't
didn't
in.
catch it.
Right, it wasn't in your side. Let me double check that though.
Okay.
Just to make sure, because it might have been in that list of,
here's
remember
what
I
I
had
need
to, I had to create an admin side for you guys? Remember that? Because there was an admin part in there, that's the,
Well, I don't think that's something we asked for, but okay, I knew you did it.
well, because the gatehouse was in
Don't
there,
answer.
your internal patrols were in there, it was $495,000.
Here's where we get screwed up in the budget. See, we have it, the city of Fort Myers cost is in the budget. It's in the O2. It has always been in the
Then if it's in the O2, then
It
I
is.
have covered, I need to double
Okay,
check.
well, it is in there.
See
If
where it's
it-
line item.
I just need to
It's
check
under
the line
safety and
item.
security in there.
There
That's
you
where I
go.
get,
This goes back to treating equal, because the greater it's LCSOs and the greater gateway in the admin budget. Everybody's paying one into the admin budget. Yours is only in your 002, so what Russ is suggesting is we move your patrols, so that way it's a shared, because everything is shared, right?
Or we can,
Or separate.
wait a minute, or we can split them.
That's
Yeah.
a
In other
that's
words,
the
I
third-
put-
Whatever, how you
I
want it
prefer
out
to have
forward.
it
You
split.
keep, okay, so
And
you
that's
prefer to
fine.
keep it within 002.
And then I just take that $30,000 and split it among the gateway.
Yes,
That's
perfect.
easy.
Whatever you guys want.
And then the other thing was tree line.
yes, he did talk about.
Well, the tree
And
line,
we've
you
talked about it.
remember, the tree line thing is going to be driven primarily by the budget. And what I need to know, I use the 1/3, 2/3, and I heard somebody say 10% and whatever. We need to define it as a board what that delineation is. That's what it's ultimately
Shouldn't
going
it
to
be
be.
easy? I mean, it's
All right,
based
let me,
on.
Well,
let me work on that and I will get you the number.
Please. You'd think it'd be easy. I did it 1/3, 2/3, because there was,
With the Ameriscape bid, we have pricing, so I can get that.
Yeah, but that shouldn't hold us up. I mean,
No,
we
we
got
need to-
concessions in that area.
He has the numbers, so it's just a matter of where do you want to put those
I
numbers?
will get myself up to speed.
Yeah,
and the,
but
and the,
Bob, don't you want the
Cost.
the cost?
Cost of the
Of
silo,
that.
not the explanation of the silo, the cost of the silo, that's what you're asking.
Right, but you also wanted it to go back the way it was in the
If
old
it was
methodology.
computed under the old methodology, it's a certain number. If it's computed under the new methodology, it's gonna be a different number.
I had some reviewing.
I don't know.
I don't know.
So to be clear with this tree line, correct me if I'm wrong, Russ. Tree line was treated just like Gateway Boulevard and Griffin, where everybody pays the common number, correct?
Now,
Under new,
No.
under new.
under new, right.
under the new, I split it,
Two-thirds, one-third.
I split it 2/3, 1/3.
Okay.
I'm listening.
And 1/3 went to Pelican Reserve and 2/3 went to Gateway.
Okay, so your
And that,
desire.
now, wait a minute, let me finish. The landscape, remember you asked me to pull the landscape
Yep,
off
keep
of the
it
road?
separate
And
side.
we found out that it was gonna be more expensive if you separated it. And that's because we were measuring on a 1-to-1 versus trip generation. Got that? You understand that?
And if they want it siloed,
Then,
We still may want,
Yeah,
I'm
if
not
you
saying-
want it siloed,
I'm
you
not
want
saying
it
that we go to the
more.
silo,
It's
it's always gonna be
more.
positive cost. I don't know what it's gonna be. I'm trying to understand that.
So I guess what I'm actually frustrated now. So what I'm hearing from you is that you had the conversation, you explained dollars to the Bob. There will be more by silos, by the memo and by a.
By the memo, not by thought.
But, okay, and then, so what you need is no memos, you need a conversation, which
Every time Russ answers or writes one of his position papers, I sit down and we have an hours-long conversation.
You go.
And I ask about every item and he tells me what it is. I take copious notes and I understand. And when I get to the end, I haven't disagreed with it, I just do it. However, we have consistently asked, the Pelican reps have consistently asked to keep things separate and to keep admin separate for analysis. That's what I want to look at. I've not gotten that. Now, I may have it in this, so we'll wait and see. And I think that the fact that Basin 6 is a little different, as far as, I don't know how it's gonna affect the water or not, but it might, and if it does,
well, that one we need to talk about because I need to know what the budget is for Basin 6 and, assess that to those particular parcels. That's another whole layer of analysis. And, let me finish, because he said, there were a couple other things he had said. He said the Parks and Rec and salaries and wages were in the admin, and they were not. We specifically kept them out.
I
So
remember that.
he was inaccurate in that part of it. And then, should the,
well, can I ask you a question about the owner, about parts of it? In the 15 and the 1 and all, are we talking about capital expenses, or are we talking about operational?
For what, I'm sorry?
for Parks and Rec, that's
We're
operational.
on the hook for now.
All operation.
0.15.
Operations only, because the
Operations
capital is
only.
already being done on our side.
No, if we have new capital, like if we need a vehicle, that would be part of.
But he's asking about the
Parks
building,
and
you're
Rec.
asking about the building and that. and-
Well, I'm really just talking Parks and Rec,
Yeah, in general.
just that one item. When we are talking, it's a little unclear to me whether we're approving money for the distribution, as we've said, of 1.0 for residents here and a 0.15 for residents of Pelican. Is that only for capital items, or is it only for operational items? Or is it both?
O&M.
It's both, because you have capital as part of your budget every year. Now, it may be a vehicle, it may be, we put up the funbrella. That, we include capital every year, and you guys review it.
So now when a pond fundraiser comes up, for a vehicle for the Parks and Rec, now we're also gonna be paying the 0.15.
Yeah, that's right.
Dangerous precedent.
Even though we numbered up, even though we're not gonna be there by everybody's addition. And I know we agreed to the 0.15, but I was thinking in terms of the capital, didn't realize it was also.
It was everything, yeah, okay. I know, what else I had, that's it?
the only other thing that I want to mention was that he had said that really we should have taken about, this was the same question you had. What happens if we bring the salaries and wages back? And it takes your assessments up because you're spreading it just among your units and not all of the other units of Gateway.
And when you do that salaries, does that include benefits and all that sort of stuff too?
It's all the salary, yes.
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 So it's just not salaries, but it's salaries, benefits.
Salaries, wages, benefits.
Taxes.
Yes, all of that. But I wanted you to understand, I did take a look at that. But it bumps you up, so. Takes your assessments up. If you leave them over here, then the way I had presented it, made it better. And that was it. I just wanted to clarify what he had said.
We do or do not have a, what was that thing we had at 2 o'clock?
Workshop.
Workshop at the
Right
next
now, we
meeting,
do not.
and we can't have one?
But you can. We just don't have it on the schedule. We'd have to advertise for it, which isn't a big deal. You guys haven't chosen to have a workshop yet.
We historically said it's first reading.
Yeah,
No, but I think you asked me to prior to public hearing, right?
Yeah, you want to have a workshop so we can
Yeah.
discuss? It's
I
no
don't have a problem with
that.
that either.
No, if we want to
Let's do
set a
that.
workshop, and if you've got
Okay, could we
items
have
to
a
address,
workshop
Yeah, absolutely.
before the next
Yeah.
meeting?
February
Yeah.
So
20th.
that we could talk about all these things again?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay. I'm working now, that's good.
Something we all love.
I'm assuming you want Russ here?
Yes.
Okay. Russ, hope you're available on 20th,
I'll have to move some of my other districts, but I'll do that.
2 p.m. Correct? 2 p.m.? Just to be clear? All right. Anything else for Russ? No? Great. Moving on. District manager items,
Well, I don't have anything else for Russ right now.
okay. Moving on to district manager items, Sylvia, you ready?
District manager, yes.
Okay.
Do
Just,
we need future agenda items?
No.
no, we did.
12.
We're on 12.
Okay.
I signed the contract the other day for the groundbreaking ceremony. OAK will be coordinating that. I have a couple dates that I want to pick your brain on. I want to make sure that you're available.
Is this for the admin building?
This, and the park, yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Russ.
Thank you, Russ.
I still love you, Russ.
Okay. I have 4, well, really 2, because I want to start sooner than later, because I'm hoping that we'll have the permit in
Okay, give us the dates.
February 25th or March 4th.
Oh,
I'm good
What
with you.
time would this be?
I think I'm out of town.
Well, so
What
the
time?
question, well, here's my question. Do you want to do it in the middle of the day, or do you want to do it towards the evening at 4 p.m.?
Okay, February 24th is a Monday,
25th, February 25th.
25th.
If we do
I
it.
could not do it till the afternoon.
Late afternoon,
Late
Like
afternoon.
4?
5 o'clock or something.
It gets dark out.
Yeah,
That's
I know.
all. It's safety and people
34.
walking. Okay, so either the 25th or March 4th. You tell me which is your preference.
I can't do the 4th.
Okay, so the
Wait,
25th
the
at
4th is
4
what day?
p.m.
No, I can't do it.
Wait, hold on.
I can do it in the morning.
4th is what, Monday?
No.
24th,
Tuesday. Tuesday.
Monday.
Oh, I can
Well-
25th is Tuesday.
I can do
can't do
Tuesday.
it
I
in,
can,
I
okay,
can't
I'm
do it
back.
in the morning because that's John's presentation.
Okay, so the February 25th at 4 p.m. Yes?
I can be-
4:30? Push it as late
Four.
as you can, I'm trying to
Four.
get there.
I can do 4.
You don't want me there.
I do.
What time does it get dark?
That's not gonna work. You know that.
6 o'clock. Oh, no.
That .15 is gonna be .18, and he's going to be there for 4:30.
February
Oh.
25th.
It's not gonna be that long, 4:30.
Well, but I'm playing tennis and I got a tennis.
Oh my God, here it.
Hey, Rob, my time's double after 4 o'clock.
Yeah, your salary, don't say it. Get out of here.
Why don't, what's wrong with the 27th?
27.
27th is a Thursday.
Yeah, let's do that. 4 o'clock.
Why do we pick those two?
Yeah, why Tuesday?
I don't know, I told Randy to pick some dates, and those were, I thought,
I'm fine.
Thursday,
27th.
Fridays are good for me for any time you wanna do it.
27, I'm fine with the 27.
27th at 4?
Yeah.
Yeah. We
27th,
have happy hour at the brewery.
perfect.
There you go.
27th,
Doug's buying.
27th at 4,
Groundbreaking.
groundbreaking. We will have formal invites and everything going out. That's all I have.
Are you gonna give them medallions like the school did?
You're gonna get a shovel, and you're gonna get a hard hat, and you're gonna be told to dig.
No nice?
For
Whoa.
Bob's edification, sunset on February 27th is 6:21 PM.
We got plenty of time.
Oh,
You got, people gotta come, we gotta situate, and then they gotta leave,
Traffic.
we gotta drive, traffic.
We can have open bar.
You bring it,
Bring the water.
I'll bring a gold.
all right,
I don't think at a
That's all
government
I
event you can have.
you can, we'll just get the Rotary Club and have to schedule that properly.
okay.
Do you have architectural renderings of the building?
Yes,
Color?
yes.
Give me a holler.
Are we hearing collectively very much from our residents, whether they approve what we've done or not?
I've had about 3 different people stop in asking when the pickleball courts, when are they gonna be done?
For same reason, and in mine are, actually, they're doing I guess a gateway greens, they pay for it, and they've been asking, they're like, well, we don't wanna pay for it there, we wanna do it over here. Pickleball is the only thing
So
that.
people are aware of what we're doing.
Yeah, they're
I
asking,
just don't
like,
get a
when-
sense that,
Yeah.
I'm glad, that's good.
All of my friends wish we would have done it 10 years ago, because all of our kids are now in college.
All right.
Except for me, I still have.
He'll get used to it, working it.
I mean, I'm not seeing Polka, I'm not seeing Feinberg, I'm not seeing Rod Senior. I mean, it's like everybody, oh, okay, it's a good idea now.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. what else?
Nothing else.
Nothing else? Okay.
Oh,
Commissioner
hey,
Attorney.
real quick, did you, remember at the last meeting, we had talked about, like, just alerting DOT to look at our crosswalk sections to see if we need to, especially the one like from Trinity, to look and see if if there's a possibility to put like a light or something, like a crosswalk more defined. And also, I was going to leave this for public comments, but we also talked at the President's Council meeting about having Randy post the e-bike and our sidewalk regulations.
We'll get
So
that.
what I talked to Chelsea about at the President's Council was, because e-bikes came up at that meeting as well.
Sorry, I missed that.
Yeah, is we need to make sure the public is aware about what sidewalks are used for what, what can be on them, what are the speeds, like just so
They're
people are
getting
aware
very fast.
for a couple reasons. One is so the public is aware, but I think more importantly, for people like me who've got kids that have now e-bikes, we need to be aware of what the restrictions are and what the hazards are, so I can teach my
Did you
kid,
reach
hey,
out
you
to
need to
the
be
county?
cautious,
Not
you
yet.
can't be,
I will.
Are they allowed on sidewalks?
Yeah.
They are.
Within a certain, yeah.
So I
Some of
had,
those
I
things
had, I
do
had
30
asked
miles an
Chelsea
hour.
And they're quiet.
I had to ask Chelsea to reach out to the county sheriff's office because I don't think we're gonna like what we're gonna hear. And I don't necessarily want it to come from staff, I want it to come
Yeah.
from the county.
Yeah.
Because they're e-bikes, but they're also manual. There is no restriction.
There's no-
This is
it's a
this is the
free-for-all.
tip of an iceberg that's going to come.
It's
soon.
it needs to have a change, but that's why I said partner with the county, have them bring us the memo, we'll just be the messenger of the memo.
Yeah, and it-
Because they can, there's some reasonable and common sense things that we can alert them to do, but there is,
And
Is that right?
if Lee County has recommendations on maybe if there is signs, I know kids probably won't pay any attention to it, but, if there's some recommended
Not
signage
only
to
kids,
put
we got a
up.
lot of e-bikes in Pelican with a bunch of seniors on it.
Yeah, but I'm telling you,
People,
the kids is where a lot of the concerns have been because they haul ass down the
Well, I trust the
sidewalk
kids.
without a whole lot of
I
consideration.
trust the kids more than the seniors.
I will reach out to the
It-
county on both
It
courts.
seems like the electric part empowers them
Oh,
to
yes.
go faster.
Is that
and be-
fun?
Yes.
Posters like that.
So I'll reach out regarding the crosswalks and then getting some material to share to educate our residents.
Yeah, hopefully that they have something like Charlotte County has, hold a matrix.
Oh, that would be awesome.
Yeah, it's, know the difference between electric bikes and talks about description, max assisted speed, do I need a license, need to
Can you
register?
send
say that to Chelsea.
Yeah, this is definitely.
And I'm even talking like,
To
I
give
mean,
an idea.
Randy, I would like
This
to
is
have
from
him.
Charlotte County.
Yeah.
I agree that
I'd like
stuff
to
needs
have
to come from
that.
Lee County, but for Randy, I'd love him to post like sidewalk etiquette. Just
Yeah, that's what I'm
some
saying,
simple
common
stuff,
sense, yeah.
because all the communities want it as well.
Yeah, I'm sure that Lee County has something comparable we can distribute.
Yeah,
They
we'll
have.
get it.
Okay.
Well, City of Fort
All right.
Myers.
And while we're on that topic, what about the speed bumps down there on this road?
Okay, so let's go with district attorney
I like
for
that
his
idea.
comment, and then we'll go to supervisor comments, because I feel like this is supervisor comments.
Okay,
So,
all right.
Okay.
we got something else that we want to tell you. Go ahead, Tony.
Yes, just sent that off to you. Yeah, just briefly discuss, there's a lot to address, but there's 2 communications from representatives of Pelican Reserve, PPAC, with regards to various topics.
Not PPAC,
no,
PPCA.
the PPCA, excuse me, Public Reserve
Community
Sorry.
Association.
And they blend together. They are in a sense intertwined, although they came as two separate documents the same day though, and I don't believe in coincidences. So I believe they are related. Now, let me just address the shorter document first. That's the one on top. That's a letter from Jennifer Kolinsky, the partner in the law firm that's been retained by PPCA to, as they say, with regards to the district adopting a new operation and maintenance assessment methodology. First of all, I want to address one comment made in there. I very much disagree, although some board members may disagree with me. They say it is being adopted on an expedited schedule in March. Again, I think the time frame is comparable to the time frame that was utilized back in 2020, although that first public hearing was set for April. It ultimately got adopted in May. So I, on behalf of the board, I take issue with that from a legal perspective.
I agree with that.
Well, I understand.
I feel very much it's been on that.
I understand. These are my comments to her letter from a legal perspective. And then with regards to the opportunity to meet with district staff, the assessment methodology consultant, a member of the district's board, to hear and discuss the proposed methodology and PPCA's objections and concerns with the same. Quite frankly, we've had a number of workshops and public hearings over the last few months. There's been plenty of, again, it's board, these are all board policy decisions. But from my perspective, the board has been, it provided a number of opportunities for that to be discussed. And again, I'm not the decision maker. The chair would not be, Chelsea would not be, the assessment methodology consultant would not be. If they want, I would suggest the information that they have, they come to the board as a whole, if they have anything. And it says, the information provided to the public in advance of the hearing has been lacking detail. My client is, and it sounds like pre-litigation posturing. People can disagree with that, but that's what it appears. My client is very interested in better understanding the benefit allocation proposed by the district. And the board's had very, I'll call it robust conversations, communications, including today, where the board is asking good questions of Russ, and Russ was responding. If the board or board members are not comfortable, then the board directed further actions be taken to have the public and the board fully understand whether they can disagree or not with the proposed methodology, but fully understand the process, the bases, and all those matters. So,
Tony,
and it
can
says,
I chime in real quick? This is the first request that I've had to meet with myself and or
same here.
anybody else. So it's been documentation requests. It's never been, hey, can we sit down and can we go over this? This is the first formal request I've received.
It's the hope that the district and PPCA may come to a mutual understanding and agreement on the application of benefit. Well, I guess the question is, my understanding is they've retained an expert to review and maybe make it some. I suggest a better course would be to provide the district with that, preferably in advance of the public hearing. And the consultant can come and make comments, the board can digest that, the board can say, gee, thank you for these are great ideas, and we need to address it and do it back and forth. As I mentioned before, it's set for March 20th. The board may wish to adopt it that day. The board may wish to consider revisions to it and continue to date and time certain and advertise for another date to consider revisions or adjustments. But again, they proposed a meeting be scheduled in the next 2 weeks, which would be by February 14th. And again, without them having presented to us, I'll call it a detailed analysis on their part by them or their consultant, I don't see the benefit of that, quite frankly.
Well, Tony,
That's just my opinion.
I value your opinion. I don't have my Pelican hat on for a change. But how could they?
So he does.
No,
I'm kidding.
I'm serious about it. How could they have opined on it when we haven't even approved anything yet?
But what they make public though.
Yeah, I'm sorry?
It's been made public.
Well, no.
Every workshop, every.
Yeah, but they're all components. We haven't set a course yet. That's all I'm saying.
Well, so
If I may make a comment on
Well,
that.
you have today.
Today we.
Well, no, but if I can make.
No, but you guys did by voting to have a public hearing, because the report is now the thing that's going to go in before the public hearing.
Right.
But what Bob was saying is
So
that
yes,
they
today you did.
didn't have any information to say
No,
yes.
they had snippets like y'all did, but we hadn't told us on what our path forward. I don't know that we've got done yet. But I mean, how could they,
Was that question to them?
well, that's right. I was just looking for their
If I may,
perspective.
from my experience representing people in front of boards, planning boards, planning commissions, county commissions, city councils, on, I'll say, land development code amendments or actions to be taken on a comprehensive project, those projects a lot of times will evolve in the same way. A draft will be out there for the public to review. And then you can make comment. The best way to, in my humble opinion, is to be involved at the outset in appearing at those public meetings to make comments to the decision makers so as they craft the document that they're going to advertise finally for public hearing and adoption, has had their full opportunity for those advisory board, for the boards, the decision makers to see as they go along. And so, again, that's why I take issue. I didn't hear what Carol and Bob were saying, but again, if you wait, my experience is if you wait until the last minute to review a particular zoning document, land development code, project by a governmental body, let's say, where were you 6 months ago when we started this process? We would have appreciated your input at that time.
They worked with it. The very first adoption to reject Rule 6, I believe they came and spoke.
No, but I'm saying, they're saying that they didn't really have anything for their consultant to review. I disagree. I think that a lot of the premise.
I know they went and tried to hire their own, and that didn't work out either.
Well, I get the sense that they have.
Yeah, they have.
Fish kind.
Fish kind.
Did they hire? That's right, because they came to say, so we joined, okay. So we knew that they were doing it, and they're watching it.
Hank's a very smart man. And so, anyway, I just, it's ultimately a board decision, but
So do we want to pause there and address that issue first before we move on to the next
yes.
document? So-
Well, they're in a sense intertwined.
What
Let me just
what
say
are you-
before we-
Understood.
What are you asking us?
Well, that's what they're asking. Let me back up a bit. Yeah, they are intertwined. The reason I say they're intertwined because although the next one will come out the same
Well, don't go
day.
to the next one, if we can just stay on this for a second.
Well, no, they're intertwined. If I can tell you how I believe they're intertwined, which I think helps make a decision what to do here, is when they're talking about giving the timing of the work on the methodology, PPCA rights to express its interest in owning and operating certain improvements in infrastructure. And then they go on to talk about their approaches, which are very, as we all know, these are not easily achieved short-term approaches or concepts. Then they go into the stormwater ponds and they talk about they want to be exempt from certain assessments as to the stormwater ponds outside of Pelican Reserve. Then they go on to the assessment methodology and they say, PPCA requests to see these methodology consultant determine the financial impact if all these assets were transferred at the request, have been transferred. What impact would that have on this methodology? So in a sense, they are intertwined. And so my suggestion is, again, from the standpoint of if the board wants to pursue, the board has total discretion. The board can say, okay, we will take them up on meeting and within 2 weeks with, let's see.
Is there anything negative to doing that?
My only question is the board has to make a decision, what are they really offering? Because why didn't they say, hey, here's a document we'd like you to look at and talk about and meet with the staff?
Then why don't you just follow up with them and ask them that question? Let them come to us and tell us what they want.
Or please provide your analysis.
Exactly.
Well, I guess I'm looking at what's the negative if we have staff and Russ meet with them.
But we don't know
And
what
there's
they're
2
asking.
Well, I don't know that they're asking anything. They're
They're-
probably kind of like me, they just like to understand.
In all
Make a
candor,
recommendation?
Yeah.
That if they wish to have a meeting, that have staff and their counsel, and then maybe we can get for more information and then have a scheduled, it can be on Teams, it doesn't even have to be in person, to waste
Right.
anybody's time. Try to get out of them what it is they're interested.
What are they looking for?
Yeah, and then if somebody wants to be the point person on this, or if you want to wait and we can bring that back to you at the
I
next
think
meeting.
your staff, Tony,
Tony.
their attorney,
And
just
Russ.
keep us out of it.
You
Well,
want to
we'll have to
keep
keep
that?
us out.
I think it's premature to have Russ,
No, not
Well,
Russ.
he has to do the explaining of what.
but we
what's
don't know
proposed.
what it is that they're
well, wait a
asking.
minute, I guess I disagree at the risk of incurring the ire of some board members. What he's trying to achieve has been, is in his report, it's been in all the meetings, and it's in his
That's why we don't
memorandum.
need him.
And so if they have Hank Fishkind looking at that, then Hank can advise them what Russ is saying. Hank can tell them, Russ is crazy on this, Russ is way out of left field, or Russ is
You
doing
can just
something.
relay the message.
Or if it's just simply, Pelican feels that this percentage of the assessment or how this is calculated should be different. And here's our
Quite a
recommendation,
rationale why.
which is exactly why I said we have 30 days for, like Bob's question, like, look, if you have an issue with something, come back and say, look, hey, I don't agree with this. Is there an alternative? Or
If
can you
there's a legal
explain?
reason that we don't want to have the meeting because of future possible pending litigation, I'm okay with it.
I don't think.
But if it's just at this point in time, and I'm not in their head, so I'm not sure what's going on. I've never met this guy and wouldn't know. But if he has generated questions, maybe Russ could answer those very easily. Maybe not. But if they're looking for a foundation to have a lawsuit, then I'd say no.
Which I think these two documents are set up for a lawsuit, in my humble
Okay,
opinion.
then we may not want to do it.
I mean, especially when you read the sentence about the intent is to avoiding protracted legal proceeding after its adoption. Okay,
Literally knows the intent.
well, that's a signal of, that is on their mind, and at
So,
least their counsel's mind, I'm
From a
sorry.
management perspective, I would recommend, Tony and I, we've been communicating with them this entire time with public records requests, et
Yes.
cetera. That if a
Very
meeting,
responsive to the public records.
if a meeting is requested, that staff and the attorney meet with them.
Okay, I'm good with that.
And
I'm
then,
fine with
but
that.
I would
We
say, I would
extend that
restrict.
offer to any other resident.
In this first meeting, well, what I would say is, if it's addressed to the methodology, I think it's perfectly in scope right now within time. You have 30 days, anything that has to do with conveyance or turning over property.
Well, that's different.
That's
I
a
don't
longer burn.
And I personally don't even agree with that.
Yeah, I would suggest this not be signed by anybody in the board.
No.
As long as
Because I even have the question where it's talking about road turnover and asset. It's very in line with, and I think there was a comment about almost limiting the Attorney General's rendering on it. I can't remember exactly verbatim, but it's like, if they know something we don't know, because I think it's apples to apples with Stony Brook.
they're way
then-
different. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, they're different facts.
They are different factors.
Well, a good example is, there was a question, and there's a dispute amongst the Stony Brook, West Hampton District as to the actual ownership.
Ownership, okay. So it's not apples to apples.
Where in Pelican Reserve, the deeds are of record.
Okay.
I mean, they are,
But
Apples to
my
apples.
point is,
yeah,
anything, assessment methodology, I think is in scope. Let's have that conversation, figure out what they're.
I'll work
their
with
request-
Chelsea on a nice response back to Ms. Kalinsky then, to try to set it up in the next 2 weeks from now.
Let's see what they have to say.
Yeah, but again, I don't like
Proceed
playing,
with caution.
yeah, I don't like hiding the P. If they have a document, have an analysis, have a report, bring it to us early.
I will tell you, now I'm going to speak as a resident of Pelican, they've had maybe 3 legal actions that they've done since I've been aware of. One was against Westinghouse for not giving all the money in.
And that was a bust.
They've been battered and beat up for spending resident money pursuing those issues. I don't think this is a slam dunk. I don't think there's any taste over there for litigation. I'll know that.
Because I'm pretty sure statute says that if you have to spend, I think, what is that, anything over $50,000, they have to have the residents say yes to it, right?
I don't
That's
know.
very weird that you say that,
Yeah.
because the residents have a say, not the
Yeah,
board.
and I
When it
think
comes to
that
that point, you're a special, I mean.
the
wow.
residents historically have given what they want.
Yeah.
But they haven't been successful in this
Well,
thing.
that's-
So I sincerely believe, I could be wrong,
Tony,
that they're trying to get to a resolution.
I don't think it's so much about going to court, I think it's control.
Well, that's part of the second page.
That I understand.
No, I
Not the
think-
first page, I think that's.
No, I think this is part of the first page too.
Okay.
I understand that.
So the first page, we'll set up a meeting, Tony will
Yeah.
respond within the next 2 weeks, and then we will report back to you on the February 20th board meeting.
Yeah, and and as far as the multi-page letter asking the chairman to sign, saying you agree, it's not binding, but sign this.
Okay.
Can we-
My
Do
advice is no.
you want to talk about any of those items, or do you want to
No.
bring this as an
No.
item for consideration
I
at a
don't
future
want
board
to,
meeting?
no, if they, no, not for me.
Fact finding, right.
Exactly.
Okay,
Okay,
what I would like, for my own knowledge, because I don't want to go into something blind, again, like we did with the,
chapter 6.
chapter 6.
Repeal, yeah.
If it's even just for the board members to know, can Russ take out the roads, landscaping, and gatehouse And based on the report that he gave us today, based on that, tell us what the effects would be.
I don't think that's perfect.
You could do that as part of, you could look at our budget right now and pull those numbers out yourself, or we, I mean.
Well,
staff
I
could do
will
that
tell
for
you that prior to 2008, those three items were in the developer's hands. The community came over here and said, we would like the district to take road security and landscape. But that was, it started out there.
Carol, if you want.
Well, no, the community didn't come over and ask.
Well, yes, the community,
Can you
no,
provide her
the
the
residents
PPAC.
asked, the residents asked.
PPAC.
PPAC
asked-
wasn't even for Carol. PPAC wasn't even in existence.
When,
the
oh,
res-
when are you talking?
2007 and 8.
Oh, Okay.
All of those,
I
know, that's why I
stand
give you a
corrected.
little background. Those components started out with the community association, which was run by WCI. And the residents, through the Residents Alliance, came to the board and said, we think WCI is gonna go bankrupt. And we currently pay them all this money to do this. And if we pay them and they go bankrupt, we'll know. We'd like to move those assets over here. And that's how they got it. A board approved that. And then the next iteration of that was, well, okay, we took it, but we don't know anything about it. Will you, Residents Alliance and people over there, will you form an advisory committee? That's how we got an advisory. It was all kind of ass backwards.
So Carol.
So would, Carol,
Okay, no, I don't want to be an Ed Tinkle and say, okay, on my napkin, my things are that, you know, it would save this amount of money, and based on 2,500 homes, you know, it's gonna be this, this. I'd like it from Russ, what the effect would be.
But it's not possible.
It's not a,
Even if you have the numbers, it's not feasible for you not to have.
It's hypothetical, in other words, based upon, it would be a hypothetical because the facts don't exist to provide.
How about, let's do this. We'll just, I'll have Laura pull all those numbers out of your total budget and give you whatever that percentage is, and then we can go from there.
well, you'd fundamentally be taking out the O2 budget.
Well, everything but ponds.
Everything but
as part-
administration.
Administration of ponds.
Yeah.
So that's what we just have to remove.
The reason I say hypothetical, because it's premised upon all these transfers and everything else taking place, in one respect.
What do you mean?
Well, that's part of they want the request, these methodology can determine the financial impact the transfer has on the methodology. So that would assume that all the roads go over to the PPCA.
Yeah.
And then they want to use the debt assessment methodology and 2020 O&M assessment methodology after the transfer. So there's actually two components of that. And then also there's another one about stormwater ponds, wanting them to be excluded from allocation of any assessments, whether operation or maintenance, relating to financing the stormwater management repairs outside of Pelican Reserve. And so again, it's almost creating a whole nother scenario that's different than how it exists today, fact-wise. I'm not sure.
So is there anything in there that can't be done? It's illegal, or the process is illegal, or it can't be done?
Well, what they're doing, they're proposing that the ownership of the stormwater management system remain with the district, but that the PPAC advisory ponds committee remain in existence, but residents can be assessed for their impact on the master flowway system, but then there's an agreement stating any capital, so I mean, there's a whole bunch of hypothetical steps that need to be taken. And no, if the board wants to have, that's a complete different assessment methodology, in my humble opinion. Because it's kind of like we have this version here that we're embarking on now and have been for a while based upon a particular philosophy and approach. And this is basically asking for you to engage your consultant to do a complete alternative methodology. Because it doesn't just affect Pelican Reserve.
I would like to keep it separate from the methodology. In other words, we're going to adopt whatever methodology we adopt. That's stuff. Now, moving forward, what I think I'm reading and heard is that they would like us to transfer the responsibility for security, landscaping, and roads
to them.
over to them. And like I told them when they brought that up to me, We did that once and it didn't really work out very well. By that, I mean, when Laura did her audit, there was money, what, I won't even say that. We adopted the budget that KW and Castle had to the penny and rolled it over to PPAC for landscaping, safety, and roads. We didn't change a thing. But at the end of the first year, we were $450,000 spent, underspent.
Mhm.
Nothing got dropped, everything got done,
Yeah.
but we had an extra $400-some-thousand. And now you're asking me to go back to the old way? I
Okay.
don't think so.
Yeah, just one component, just real
Well,
quick.
and what I think they want to do is to hand it over to KW
Absolutely,
and say, okay, here, run these things.
absolutely.
And,
They don't know what it really means that, because, yeah.
well, they're not going to do it.
No, they're
They're
gonna
go for a
outsource it.
cost.
They're
I
gonna
mean-
outsource it.
Their board is not going to do
And it
it.
would have a fundamental impact on how we do business.
You don't like my 5% now?
There's a lot of, there's a lot of cost over here with what we do.
Yeah.
And if that goes back to them, okay, we're gonna have more staff than we need. So there's a negative to that. But we don't have fiscal controls.
I mean,
If at some point in time the board wishes to explore the conveyance of the road, say, to PPCA.
Well, I would support that.
Well, and one question could be, and I think we have enough on our plate right now, but I've started research on whether or not they could be leased, and that whether PPCA would have greater control if the roads were leased.
Well, they're trying to mirror things.
Because the district has, well, there's different facts though.
I know, but whatever Stony does, they're hoping they can
The
do.
district has the right to lease these facilities. So the question is, what are the abilities to lease it under conditions that would make PPCA happy? That's all.
So
I mean, not
I'm-
speaking on behalf of Pelican, but I think ultimately, one, the setup that it is today should have never taken place. I think the ongoing effort is, if Pelican believes that they are different and they should be a separate entity, and a self-maintained, self-governed.
They do.
What,
They don't have to
what,
get.
I don't think there's anything wrong for us to continue to explore
Talk
that
about
in
it.
partnership with Pelican. But our stance is we are all a part of Gateway District and we need to operate as one. And it's very difficult for us to tell one community that they're different than another community, even if they're.
And I choke on the phrase one gateway because I don't really believe it is one gateway, but, that's what we're.
The problem is, I think it just,
So
I mean,
if
even if it's feasible.
We don't know how to separate. There's no.
you want us,
Alright.
to at a future date, if you want us to, further go into this, let us know, but in the meantime,
And
second-
the second part also is kind of alluding to an O&M.
yeah.
They want to get back to that kind of thing.
All right, so just pull it up for us.
Well, I think we.
Okay, agenda management. Does anybody have any questions on agenda management?
I don't know, agenda management, but okay, I'll wait for supervisor.
Okay, no questions? Okay, we'll go ahead and start with supervisor comments. Go ahead, Bob.
Well, I just want to know what the status of Stony Brook is. I heard there might be some.
I think that's a conversation Tony, you're gonna have one-on-one with all of us.
Well, we did. Are we
I
ready?
had one,
Are we ready? to have
I
a
don't want
public
to,
hearing?
I don't want to have any further discussion now until I have something to provide to the board.
Okay,
We're working on that.
All right.
all right. Any other items?
No, but what we approved today, we finally got all of our last easements
Okay.
or landscaping, so.
Until we find more,
I beg your pardon?
Stop.
until we find more.
Well, we're gonna do the aeration easements, but the landscape easements are done.
Thank you, Bob.
Only took 2 years.
Thank you.
Zach?
It's almost August.
August of 22 is when it was done.
Just a couple of things. I know that we have, I know Laura has mentioned that she has discussed and there's options in the new building to update our AV, our audio visual and our streaming capability. I think we might need to look at, we've seen what we have today and upgrading it because I agree with
Cheryl?
with Sherry, what she was saying, like, the technology that's available today, residents should be able to just quickly jump on, the audio and visual will be good, be able to go back, revisit the recording. So can you just have, maybe Laura just take a look and see,
Yeah.
are there, within,
We,
There is an issue with iPads and the streaming, just so you're aware. It's not the first complaint that we've gotten. It's not, the streaming is working, it just does not work well with iPads.
Then it doesn't work well. because
Yeah,
everybody's got
but
access.
Yes, it works. I actually logged in, the sound is great, the picture was great, everything was wonderful on my computer.
Yeah, we'll look and see. I know she's getting a new computer for this, so we'll look and see what's out there.
Yeah.
Another at least year and a half until we're in that new
And I'll
building.
give it to Chelsea because one of my other districts, the one neighborhood actually purchased an owl, the camera that follows everybody around. And it can have multi-screens and splits, and so they broadcast their meetings that way.
Okay.
And it's portable too, so.
Well, we have
works real
members
well.
of staff that are still here listening in. I mean, there's a lot of really inexpensive switches. All it is you just have someone that's just going to do production. They're going to click this button, it goes to this, this camera, this camera. With the technology available today, we should be able to produce a really good. And I do want you to continue to look at, see if we can get that channel from Comcast.
Does the board want us to look at a channel for Comcast? It's just something else we have to maintain.
Yep.
No.
Pelican's got one.
We do not subscribe to Comcast at that office. We have different.
Just so you know, because my contract just went for renewal 2 years ago, and that is not something that they're offering anymore.
They're not doing that anymore?
They're not, no, so if you have it, you'll be able to keep it, but I think there's an expiration date. So I know as of right now, Stony Brook, Hampton Park have it, and I think another community, but they no longer offer.
Pelican has it, but not a lot.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
Okay.
just look at
And
opportunities
no
to
one ever
enhance our
looks.
AV.
No one ever looks.
And then just want to provide just a quick update. I talked to one of the employees at 7-Eleven. I didn't talk to, what's her name?
Karen.
What's her name? Whoever the manager is 7-Eleven. But they were having some incidents with some kids. There was some shoplifting going on, and there was a little bit of harassment. I talked to, I can't remember the guy's name, but evidently that's gotten better. It was a small pocket of kids. They had basically said, if we catch you again, we're going to enforce the law. So that's kind of been resolved. I'm not sure, there was a couple of posts going on Facebook, but if you were following it, great. It seemed like it's been resolved. If not, it is what it is. The speed bumps on Soccer Drive, I think we should probably look at that. I don't think, I mean, I spend a lot of time out here. I don't think speed is that big of an issue, but I do think people do take a little, sometimes it does get, some people go faster than I think they should.
But that's something that we can do now,
It's
because
low cost.
we had an issue with Magnolia Lake South Valley. We have the rubber ones, we still have it in the closet. And they're, I think it was $400 for both, because for a road, you need two. And you just literally stop and. I
We
think
have
that's what it is.
to make sure it's okay to stop the trail, because it affects their response time.
Yeah.
That was the
So
same.
I'd say let's
Yeah,
just
and
look
that's
into
kind of-
it.
Yeah.
And, I said before, there's I don't know if we're doing it, but there was a sheriff's vehicle parked during practices and games and the lights are on. No one parked on this side, on the side. Last Friday, they weren't there. It was wall to wall. And so, I mean, the parking is an issue, and even if, people are using the school, but the links are getting bigger. So I think if, it's great having the unit out there, but when they're not there, if there's people there, either we're gonna say, all right, we're just gonna let people park there, or we're gonna have to put something up to absolutely stop people, like a hedge, or just put
Stones.
some ropes, or some or something. And I do think it's an issue because it's not flat. So people, if you get the first person to park this way, it's great. Then everyone will park that
Do
way.
you remember
But
when we
hold
used to
on.
have the ropes? We used
Yeah,
to,
we
like
used-
the rope, because
Yeah,
FPL
and even
easement had-
Tim put tape on.
Yeah, no,
it,
but
which
I'm
looked like
talking about
shit.
the FPL easement, we used to have, I have actually a
Yeah,
picture.
the white with the chains.
The white, we had the chain ropes all the way down, and it used to be here too, I'm talking 15 years ago, my kids were.
But my point is, if they park parallel, it's great, but if one person parks up on the hill at an incline, they will all do it. And that's really dangerous when you're backing out with your kids. And it's so dark over there, and we don't have really sufficient lighting around that.
On Soccer Drive, there's not lighting.
Not when the lights get turned off.
The street lights don't illuminate Soccer Drive.
I think there's this light here, I have reported, I don't
No,
know if
that's
this light's
beyond.
working.
But in the middle, so anyway, just.
Have you seen the speed bump, either one of you seen the speed bump at Pelican? The one they just
Yeah, the
sold?
hump, it's not bad.
Yeah, very good.
That's
But
good.
it was 20 grand.
Yeah, we don't have
Yeah, that's
that.
what I was thinking about, the ones
We
that are
got,
movable.
we got Gateway Parks and Rec money, so we got like $5 grand.
We only got
Unless you're willing to
We got
pay a third.
0.15 of Pelican next year.
Anyway, that's it for me.
Carol?
So thank you.
Margaret Feinberg had sent us 2 emails talking about lake bank restorations. She sent pictures and stuff. Is this a full project type thing, or is this just a
Patch repair.
repair?
Patch repair, and I did talk to Daniel about that, and I talked to Margaret as well. They just need a 4-inch,
It's just wrong.
they need rocks, but it's, JT actually mentioned this to me. There's very little rock, so we just need to go up and just add more rock, but those are the same exact locations.
Are we gonna do it?
Is
Yeah,
it on the
we're gonna
list,
do it.
is it on the priority?
We actually have the rock
Yeah.
now, so that we're just gonna be able to try to cover up the mat again. Instead of
Okay.
having 6 inches of rock on it like it should, it probably got about 2 inches across the entire
Yeah.
pond. And
Okay,
The
and then
slope-
since you're here, Stony Brook smell?
That's not.
Oh,
that's not me.
That's not you?
Nope, that's utilities.
The,
Oh, utilities.
the
oh.
report will be delivered in the next, at your next board meeting from the expert.
That's perfect, okay.
So you'll have his findings and his recommendations on what to do.
Okay. That's all I got.
Well, I don't have anything, the few items that I have, I think Doug touched, and,
Did the board want us to look at speed bumps on?
Yeah, I think so.
Are you gonna talk about
Well,
concrete
first on
type
the-
things?
First on the South Trail.
All I
and
know
think
is,
it's gonna be a
is we put speed bumps in and it was nothing but a headache.
So I think
Where?
that
If it was
should-
anywhere else, I'd say no.
Oh, I haven't heard anybody had a complaint.
All right.
So,
About the speed bumps?
Oh, the little ripples were
Yeah.
not good.
Yeah,
We got a lot of
everybody
grief,
complains.
but the speed hump
Humps, yeah,
has
it's different,
been
okay.
very refreshing.
Alright.
But Chelsea, I did have one question for you. We talked a number of months ago about the document room, that was being gonna be microfiche or something.
So-
Are we even
Hot
doing
box?
anything there?
Yeah, he wants everything's scanned from the hot box.
That's
So
what I thought we said.
we're slowly doing it. We just found, we're actually trying to clean out these drawers in here. There's still some accounts payable stuff that needs to be scanned. So, we're working slowly but surely through it, yes.
Well, should we try to get a intern for the summer?
No.
That's,
Okay.
I would just rather hire it off and
We
have a
talked about
company be
training.
responsible.
you said it's actually cheaper and quicker to outsource than it would be to even have.
Yeah, but I
an-
just haven't heard any, I'd like to get progress.
My goal, Bob, is to not take any paper to the new admin building. So I've got a year and a half until we're in there.
Put it all in SharePoint, nobody will find it.
I was thinking that. All right, anything else?
I agree.
No?
I moved to adjourn.
All right.
Thank you all.
I have a vote
Thank
that I
you.
agree. I haven't forgotten, Chelsea, I am gonna call you for my tutorial.